Did I miss anything here? I can add some stuff. Go ahead. All right. Creative financing, creative sales. So I'm going to show you guys how to get a whole bunch of deals done with like nothing. And I think I heard that they outlawed wholesaling in like Illinois. Anybody read that online? Did they really? Yeah. Where else? Just Illinois? Yeah, so Elvis, I found a way around that. I'll show you. I'm just going to go... Can I work from the bottom up?
It's your class.
I think all of them in the middle. Just as on to one.
Okay. So I got one of these done with Raphael last night, right? What do you guys know about private debt? Don't all answer at once. Yeah, that's an example of it, right? That's a very good example of it. Boss, what's private debt? How do you create debt? Not necessarily, but you could do that. Think like bigger picture.
You were able to sell a property to a lender willing to take on the payoff, let's say cash, property you owe no to. The property you pay back.
Okay. How about just money's not fucking real?
Okay.
And if I draw up something and record it against a property that says you owe me, you fucking owe me. And if I don't get paid, that debt doesn't get discharged, or vice versa. If somebody's got like a free and clear house and wants to owner finance something, they can carry back a mortgage and getting money, and you can pay it monthly, quarterly, annually, however you want. And this is just kind of like fresh in my mind. I love their pizza. It's over here, man. It's easier for me to look at you and ask questions. Unless you want them to, in case you will. All right. So I got one yesterday, and I'm just going to draw here. Oh. Asking. Worth the house I picked up yesterday, what's it worth? 320, 350? Okay. Got a house in Morristown yesterday. 320,000 to 350,000, right? Yeah. I think I could just go like this, but I don't really know where the volume is on it, nor have I ever used it.
I got you, bro.
But my battery's low.
No, I added the battery. You're good. There you go. You're good.
Okay. Guy owes 185, and he wants what's 180 plus 70,000, or 185 plus 70,000. Somebody help me out. I suck at math. 255. Wants to go back to Colombia October 22nd. Just bought the plane ticket. Needs to be out of the house, right? So we know the difference between here and here is 70,000. So rather than just writing him the check, what we did is, and it's actually probably sitting on your desk, after the first mortgage of 185, we created a second. Whatever. I just woke up. It's been a long day, okay? Still can't spell. We created a second for $200,000, which is not $70,000. And I played around with the terms of the note, right? Knowing that 200,000 plus 185 is what? So more than it's worth, right? So by recording that against the property for services rendered, I've created a short sale that most investors are going to walk away with, or walk away from anyway, where I'm the lender in second position. Do you follow me? It's okay if you don't. You're here to have it. Okay. I created a mortgage in second position. A mortgage and a note. Okay. For $200,000. How did I do that? Yeah, pretty much. I took a form mortgage note that honestly we should put online for everybody once they learn how to use it, right? I mean, this would be like good for all those Illinois people. So now I hold the second position. This thing is a short sale, and I added to the terms that the first $70,000 paid out of the $200,000 is paid to seller. Because mortgages don't mean a fucking thing and money is not real. So it doesn't matter what the fuck you do, which is kind of cool. So I listed it with Sam at the same time, who's one of our realtors. I don't even know what price he's listing it for because I don't really care. And he could sell things and, yeah, 300, 320, whatever. He'll blow it out, right? Never have to see it again. Not my problem. So when he sells it for $340, you think he'll sell it for $340? What's 185 plus 70 is 255. So 340 minus 255 is what? How much? 185. Okay, 255 is the number including his 70,000. You follow me? So after the 185, the first 70 goes to the seller, which brings us up to that number. I was wondering what that noise was. So if Sam sells it at 340, 340 minus 255 is what?
85.
It's pretty good, right? It's not a bad concept off of a thought that's now been executed, recorded. I went out to the house, okay, yesterday, and once before I met with the gentleman who was selling us the house here. And like every other transaction, there's a whole mess that you have to unravel. He's got a wife, but they're not legally married, so she's not entitled to shit. It doesn't matter. And then since he only speaks Spanish, we did a FaceTime call with his bilingual lawyer, who actually kind of comprehended a lot of this. And after we sat there and read through all the terms, they were totally cool with it. So cool with it that they're now referring us other deals well. So don't get discouraged if you put your foot in your mouth. It happens, dude. When you're stuck, call Chuck. Just put me in front of the lawyer. Okay? And I don't just want to talk to them. I want you to be there. Because you're more useful to you and me if you can repeat it. So we still have more debt than what we sold it for, right? We know that after this, we're tacking on another $85,000, okay, to bring it up to $340. But what's owed on it is almost $400,000. So where does the rest of the debt go? Who's the bank in second position? Yeah. So we got to negotiate a short sale. And I'm not going to make this easy on our short sale negotiator over here. Better? We good? People complaining online? So there's not much else I need to do on this except make sure it's sold, right? As long as it's sold in a timely fashion and it closes in a timely fashion, when they draw up all the closing documents in the HUD statement for 340, they'll tell us that you need to negotiate a short sale on the second lien. So we have to work that out, and I would have to discount my debt, but much like money, debt's not real. So Linton is going to tell me what my new payoff is going to be. And theoretically, not only do we just make 85 grand, but I get to write off the balance. But I don't want to do that. I want my money. So I had somebody come in here and measure for MMA mats, and we are just going to fuck each other up and see where it goes. No hitting in the face. He's got big hands.
Neck down.
Neck down. He choked me out once, too. So somebody explained back to me how this works.
I got a question though.
That's totally cool.
What are you promising the seller when he's gonna get the 70K? Because he's gonna move.
So he booked his plane ticket for October 22nd. So if I can't get this sold and closed by October 22nd, what are my options? There's no foreclosure. This is not a foreclosure. I could have his lawyer just take the money for him after he leaves. Somebody's got to pick up the check. I could write the check, which I don't want to do, but I could. And then I just own the thing subject to, he lets me off the hook for his 70, and I own the thing subject to that. And I guess I'd have to keep making the payments, but I don't think American Credit follows you to Colombia, so I don't think he really cares. Or if I just give him the 70, it's mine. And as soon as it's sold, I get my 85 plus his 70.
Gotcha. But as far as, let's say, anybody out here who doesn't have that 70K, what would be another option?
Anybody here have 70K they want to loan me for like 2 or 3 weeks? So, I mean, that's like a really great question. And like as soon as you walk outside that door and go downstairs, there's 350 million fucking people in this country. So just start asking. I mean, it's honestly the simplest. I used Sam or whoever else, and you just wrangle the realtor and make sure they understand the terms. You get one fucking showing, one full day. That is it. If you don't sell the house, you have to sell it virtually. Because he's paranoid. And we all had to sit there with masks on. It's also not that easy for him to leave the house. I think he's got some massive back problems. He was hurt in like a work accident. More than anything, it's just paranoia of people. And this is one of our guys, Raphael, picked this up just by working the phones and talking to people. He speaks great Spanish, and ta-da. More questions. Yo, look, he tried to do his hair like you.
It didn't work.
So, Elvis, we got an eraser somewhere? Or like that big pot holder thingy?
Yeah.
Awesome. Sweet. So, can I take this down? You understand it, right? If I were to wholesale this, I couldn't do it. Does anybody know why? No, I'm walking away with like 85 grand. There's more than enough room. Anybody else? Not necessarily either. If I was going to wholesale it, I wouldn't have created the second lien. If I was going to wholesale it, and we're selling it somewhere between 320 and 340, we're selling it at market. Most of the people that buy at market, I mean, this is Morristown. It's a nice place. It's a nice town. Place is actually like kind of on the water. It's on like the banks of a river. It's a pretty place. If I was going to wholesale it, my buyer was going to take out a mortgage most likely. And if my buyer is going to take out a mortgage and they see somebody else getting paid on the HUD statement that's not a realtor, they're going to say that it's a flip, meaning the lender for my new buyer, and the deal's never going to close. But as a second lien holder, I just get to sit back and pick all the players in the game. And it's not like anybody can screw me here because I made it a short sale. And it's not like the bank could say it's a flip because I'm with them in a worse position. I'm the bank too. We already checked the title. There's no other liens. And there's no seasoning. So if I were to record my deed and then resell it, I'd still have to wait how long? 3 to 6 months? 3 months now? Before I can even put it under contract again. So I couldn't do an assignment, and I couldn't do a subject to in that little time. And if I live in one of those states where assignments are now illegal, this is a way to surgically extract as much money out of the fucking deal as I possibly can, as quickly as I can, without any stupid banking laws stopping me. You still look a little confused.
So, how did you come up with 200? Just a random number that you came up with, or is that a formula that you come up with as far as percentage of?
Yeah, I went, how much is the property worth? Make sure it's over leveraged by at least 50 to 100 grand. I don't want any of these other like half-ass investors that run fucking networking groups and claim to do this shit thinking it's a deal and trying to make an offer, because fuck them, that's why. It's my job to piss in their cornflakes. I don't have to. If I know it right off, I can take it. But, I mean, the biggest benefit is it's going to close quicker and be less complicated, believe it or not, than an assignment or than a subject to. But most people think that to create debt, money needs to exchange hands. And we've got to take a step back to money is not real. There's an asset with equity. I create a mortgage and a note, recorded it against the property, and now I get paid. The only reason, or the only way I could not get paid is if somebody didn't pay that mortgage, right, and those numbers kept accruing, it would eat into my note or ultimately get foreclosed on, and I'm in second position. Are we confused yet? Can I go home now? You good? You sure? Okay. Hi. What was your name? I'm Chuck. Does it hurt? Okay, good. All right, so can I take this down? You got a question, AJ? You cool? Yeah.
Can anybody report a mortgage, or you have to be a mortgage broker to report it?
No, I'm not a mortgage broker. I'm the bank. Okay? Anybody can record a mortgage. Anybody can create a mortgage. Anybody can record a mortgage. It needs to be signed off on by the person who owns the house or one of them. And then it just gets recorded at the courthouse with a legal description and a cover sheet. It's a 2-page document. It sits on top of the other mortgage. It sits on top of the deed. And it's just like a stack of cards. And you got to unravel this whole mess when it's sold. And when you're ordering payoffs from the bank, and you're bank number 2, you control how much you want that payoff to be. So I'll just dial it down to whatever it should be. So, yeah. I've been watching him beat up banks for like 16 years. And then one day it dawned on me, I was like, holy crap, I want him to kick my ass too. And I mean, we fight about this sometimes, but it's okay because in the end we're friends. My feelings get a little hurt because sometimes you got to lose to win, right? All right, more question, or are you good? Because everybody's got like that kind of blank look now. And we're just at like step 1. I'm going from the bottom up. Good, yeah, questions are... So the seller cannot walk away with money if it's a short sale, and you're correct, okay? And that's if you're shorting a mortgage that's over leveraged. In the payoff from the bank, it will say Seller may walk away with no money. But in my mortgage and my note, which are actually the same fucking document, except one says mortgage and one says mortgage note, they're carbon copies of one another. You record the mortgage, you don't record the note. The terms in my mortgage say that the first 70 goes to the seller, and I reference them by name. And it'll say that again in the payoff because I actually put my first ex-wife through law school. She's now a prosecutor. You can't make this shit up. And I audited a number of banking law classes as long as another. If I'm paying for law school, I might as well go, right? Just don't want the degree. You know how many degrees a rectal thermometer has, right? Yeah. Okay. Whatever the bank puts in writing is law. And if I'm the bank, I'm like Judge Dredd. I am the law. So I make the rules. Which is getting a little scary because now I'm starting to control all the pieces on the board. I'm not playing the game, I am the game. Pretty cool? Okay. Can I take that down? Oh my God, this whiteboard thing works. I think we're going to wipe it down. And then he wants to get spray on enamel, which all this time I thought was just the stuff that's on like your teeth that makes them white. All right, so that's an example of private debt. There's a million ways to do it. I can give you other ones, but if I do, we're probably never going to get through all this stuff. So, yeah, no, I could spend like days on that. And this would be an example of it. This would be an example of it too. I'll give you one with that. I can give you one with that a few blocks away from here. Okay, so let's talk about credit partners. What's that? Yeah, so I just did one of these in Patterson. I could use that as an example. Or actually, I sent one to Evelyn today, which might be another example like this. You can only take out so many residential mortgages. Boss, what's the most residential mortgages you've ever seen? 3? I saw somebody with 14. I've seen several people with 7. And the way that I've seen them actually be able to get multiples is they'll put in applications with 2 different mortgage brokers for 2 different properties at the same time and see that they close within the same month because they don't report to your credit the next month. So then you can have 2 FHA mortgages at the same time. I only speak from experience. I bought my own house and my sister's the same time. So a credit partner, no, you got to think like, just build a friggin' team or use some of mine and just, you can buy. I've kind of seen you do it. Just buy like a fucking animal. Buy everything. Like, you ever play Monopoly and win? What do? You just buy everything, right? You don't even think. You land on it, you buy it. You land, do that. Okay? Stop trying. Yeah, take a step back. We're all Yoda here. There is no try. Do or do not. All right. So, an example of a credit partner. Evelyn, you got the numbers on that deal that I sent you?
My deal?
Yeah.
It was 190.
No, the one that I texted you. The one that I texted you in Patterson that makes like $4,900 a month. Or I can throw one up here that we closed like literally last week.
Like 400 purchase? That one?
Yeah, what's the purchase price?
400.
And I already got them down to 380. And what's the rent roll?
4909?
And what are the taxes? All right, we don't have all the numbers. I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to use one that I closed earlier in the week. Cool? It's actually, I think, last week. Who cares, right? So, boom. I'm going to leave this up this time. Oh, asking worth. Okay. Do you remember what they owed on this? Yeah, it was like nothing, right? So this is a 3-family and a basement in Patterson. It's technically a 2-family, okay? The 3rd floor apartment is not a legal apartment, which means that it's not separately metered, okay? So if you were to rent out the 3rd floor, could you do it legally? There's one way that you could. The person who owns the property would have to reside in the illegal apartment and not pay any rent. Because if they catch you renting out an illegal apartment, does anybody know what the punishment is? You do. No. You get a fine, and you got to pay back all the rent you collected ever. So if you had that rented for 6 or 10 years at $1,000 a month, do the math. Ouch, my butthole, right? It's just not cool. So, I guess the first question is, how the hell did we buy it at 130, right? Does anyone want to venture a guess? Was it a short sale? This was a situation where there was 2 brothers on the mortgage. One lived in Puerto Rico. The other one lived in Patterson. The one who lived in Patterson had his wife get sick and die. We had people like you, AJ, reaching out to the people on the mortgage. We contacted the brother in Puerto Rico. He gave us the phone number of the brother who lived in Patterson. We became aware of the fact that his wife was actually going to die within a week or 2. And what was even stranger is the world is really small. Somebody who worked with us actually knew the guy. Small world, right? And we went to go visit him in hospice. We talked to him. We're just as nice as they could be. We told him when this is all over, we'll buy the property. We actually went there and purchased it subject to the existing debt for $130. He just walked away. Does anybody believe that shit happens? Yeah. It doesn't seem like people will just walk away until they do. There you go. I took a good picture for you. Okay, Miguel? So why would he walk away from all that equity? Dude, he's fucking done. His wife just died. He's an old guy. His family's all in Florida. He wants to go be with them. So he signed it over. We got the other documents sent over to Puerto Rico. They signed them. And we turned around and we found somebody to be a credit partner with us. Happens to be a guy with great credit and a great job. And now the captain of the fire department in Patterson near this house, right? So he bought it for $250, right? What's 3.5% of 250? Break out your calculator. Oh, dude.
8750.
8750. It's a down payment, right? And there's closing costs. So what's that add up to? That's like 25-ish. So he came up with a down payment, which upon closing through another company, I then gave back to him. Okay? Because right now it looks like I'm going to make how much? 120. So let's go like this. 120,000 in potential revenue minus 87 minus 1,500 or 15,000 in closing costs, right? Because I don't want this guy to come out of pocket anything else. What does that add up to? No, I mean these two numbers again. Now take 32.5, take out that number, 32,000. That's the number that I just came up with. Take 32,500 and back out the 8,700 and the 1,500. 97,250.
Or 87, excuse me.
Doesn't matter.
8750.
It's only money. As it works out. So, just for having W-2s, pay stubs, right, and a great credit score, I partnered up with this dude, and originally we were going to split it 2/3, 1/3. Then he saw how nice the place was, and the deal that we worked out was, I'll pay all the closing costs, I'll give you back your down payment, I'll pay off your fucking car, because nobody should have a car loan. Those things suck, right? And then on the third floor apartment, we're putting the kitchen in right now, you could live for free. You just got to deed the property back to me. And if there's ever a problem with the town, you're the fucking fire captain, man. Flex that muscle. So, through a thought and being a responsible individual, I mean, we knew each other for a couple of years, AJ. You know, I was able to get him a house with nothing down, pay off all the closing costs, pay off his car, and give him a place to live for free. When he decides he wants to move somewhere else, then if I do rent that out, and I have a way to do that too, but I don't want to, because it's now in a trust, I've got to have somebody in there that I trust, and they can pay rent. And if they ever bitch at me, I could just produce the trust agreement and say, so fuck you, I'm giving rent. Your Honor. But I mean, it's kind of like a blessing. And by the way, the two apartments are rented for $1,500, and the basement's rented to a landscaper for $1,000. So I think I did all right. And now I got somebody with some political pull in Patterson that I've financially set free in like one move too, which is kind of cool. Because this is how you make friends.
So what are the terms on that? So you pocket the 87 up front and then you take the cash?
No, I gave him back the 8,700.
Oh no, I mean like you pocket 120, you deduct all of these.
I deduct all that. So I get, I don't know, I get the remaining, which is probably more than most people make in a year. I don't even know what people make anymore. And I keep all the cash flow, and he lives for free.
Oh, so you negotiate, you get the cash flow as well.
Yeah, well, I was going to give him a third, and it's a 3-unit building, okay? But his idea was, what if I just live for free? Now I don't have to pay rent anymore, and I could walk to work. That's pretty sweet.
But other than his name being on the
Mortgage.
there's nothing else really powerful for him. You can't get anything from if you sell the house.
Well, I mean, we do have it in a trust, And right now, the way that it reads is that he lives for free, but should he move out, then he gets a third of the cash flow. Okay? And we'll take care of him either way. And, I mean, we do have a bookkeeper, we have a property management company, so we see to it the bills are paid on time, every time. And it's not emotionalized. If somebody doesn't pay, they're out. They get evicted.
He's got no responsibility for the mortgage other than being his name.
As long as we pay it, it actually improves his credit. And plus, he's got the down payment back again. And we're getting ready to do the next one. "45 days. Could be 60. They fall behind. You send them a letter. If they don't pay by the 1st, you send them a letter on the 5th saying you're late. They get it on the 6th or the 7th. If they don't pay by the 1st of the following month, you can file eviction. And it's 45 days from that point. So 45 plus 30. Now we're getting up there already. Then you got to get a court. It drags. Okay? It's a pain in the ass. But probably worth it. Right? I mean, I don't need a calculator to see that. If you got a job, if you can get a mortgage, if you got decent credit, if you got a couple bucks in the bank, and I got a bunch of these things lined up, anybody want one? Yeah, well, you already work on it. You, it's going to be hard because you're not employed right now. You could talk to our mortgage broker and see if you can get a loan. Depending upon where we are, mortgage guidelines and mortgage programs change all the time, like at least weekly. I mean, I don't know. We're going to dial it back to 2005. Like, they were just giving people loans. No doc, 110% financing. You could sell a house on Monday and it would close on Friday. So if you have an FHA loan already, as long as your next FHA property is an upgrade, you can get another one. And they're not really going to tell you that, but if you read the FHA programs and guidelines, I know, I paid somebody to read them to me. If you buy a 4-family, and then you say, I got a 3-family, you can go get another FHA, because having 2 neighbors is better than having 3 neighbors. And then you can go get a 2-family, and then you can go get a 1-family. So it's an upgrade, it's an upgrade, it's an upgrade, it's an upgrade. And it helps if they start getting more expensive, and it helps if they're in better towns. Plus, you can use, and don't quote me on this because this changes too, but 75 to 70% of the projected rent you can use to increase your income for the next loan. And that's even if you're just responsible for the loan and you deeded the property you were subject to. So that's pretty cool. I mean, I've personally had 2 at the same time. They were. And it wasn't for any other reason than, like, my wife's dying, I'm sad, just kind of giving up. It's time to ride off into the sunset, going to Florida to be with my family. I think I did pay to have him sent to Florida. So I might have given him like $2,500 or something like that. Got like a moving truck. So forget it. The deal doesn't make sense anymore.
Can you switch up your mic really quick? They're having trouble hearing you. There's static or something like that. Sorry guys, quick intermission.
I don't know if that's going to work.
This one? Oh snap, it's not. Oh wait, I actually have something that'll fit in this.
That's what he said.
because that goes to the,
Yeah, so he bought it conventionally,
mhm,
but even though he bought it conventionally, he put a mortgage out for $250,000.
mhm,
We had to get 2 appraisals because we flipped it so quick. The low appraisal was $285 and the high appraisal was $350. So there's already equity there. Another thing that we may do
mhm.
is we may wait 6 months, as long as COVID-19 does not destroy the real estate market. In 6 months, we can do a rate and term refi, where if it still appraises for that much, I mean, 350 minus 250, that's more than 20%, right? That's a third.
Hello. Cool. How you doing, movie star?
Hello? Does this work? Here? There? Anywhere?
Yeah, there we go.
14%, right? So 14%, I couldn't technically say there's 20% equity, but a little bit more and I can. 14%, I could still say there's 10% equity. I could do a rate and term refi. We get rid of the PMI, which is private mortgage insurance. That would come with an FHA loan. And we can get a lower interest rate. The reason why the bank would let go of their private mortgage insurance is because they now realize there's a ton of equity in the property. And now we can get the FHA again on any property. It doesn't have to be an upgrade. And we lowered our payment. And it's just taking care of your credit partners and setting them up for the next one. And it doesn't really get much more win-win. Cool?
So he's taking the 130, is he paying off the loan or are you paying off the loan before?
So I bought it for 130. So he's in foreclosure. I bought it. Now I'm being foreclosed on with his loan. Okay? Now watch this. I don't give a fuck. I'm probably in foreclosure like 20, 30 times standing right here. And I'm going to sleep like a baby tonight. Go get in foreclosure. It's a great place to be. It's like getting divorced. That's great too. It's a party. I don't care what anybody says. So then when he takes out that loan, that gets paid off. And everything else comes to me because I'm the owner. And then I give him back the down payment, pay for all the closing costs, so I don't get to go to those back. I got to pay the mortgage commission. I got to pay the title company. I got to pay the lawyers. I got to pay the city of Patterson, but since I'm such a nice guy, how can I make your life better? You got any other debts? What made this mortgage hard to get? Dude, you have a car loan? Who the fuck has a car loan? Why would you borrow money to buy a car? Unless it's your car. Or your other car, both of his cars make money. He got advertising, he's got another one that somebody drives Uber for him. Then they're assets. But we still paid the one off. Because I fucking hate car loans. They're stupid. It's like a mortgage on a car. Yeah, but Linton's one car with all the advertising on it, the car pays for itself several times over every year. And still got to get the other one that I'm driving wrapped. And then buy another one. And then buy another one. But how many things can you do at once? Can I take it down? Going down. Is this thing working, Elvis? Cool. Who's on the online thing?
Got like 8 people watching. I'm pretty sure Diana's one of them.
Shit. Sorry, baby.
You know she's always watching.
Tell her it's hot in here. I'm about to take my shirt off. Keep watching. Okay. You guys want me to do any particular one next? What do you want?
Financing, because I have that tomorrow.
Owner financing. All right, AJ. What do they owe?
Oh gosh, pretty clear.
That's a great start. What are they asking?
350.
I think we need to put a ledge on this thing for markers. They're asking 350. And what's it worth?
So open up on finance. They mentioned something about a 1% down payment.
So they want more than the place is worth. And I mean, I don't care.
He even admitted he knew that was worth of what it was worth. He said in like a perfect world if he could walk away, super happy.
Yeah, you're going to be the bank, right? So a normal bank wouldn't give me a loan for more than something's worth. But you want me to take one from you? Probably not, but maybe. So what's he asking for in terms of terms?
He haven't negotiated that yet.
Okay. What time tomorrow? 2. So I'm stepping out at like 2 p.m. for a few minutes, Elvis, to have fun with AJ.
So I'm with you,
Yeah, because I think Elvis actually wants to buy this from you.
I might. You don't know how, depending on what it looks like, yeah. He told me fully renovated. I was thinking, oh, I'm in buying it, David. You know, I have to look at it.
So this is Fort Lee?
Water heat, 4 feet, yeah. 1 bedroom, 1 bath on the 40th floor below the penthouse.
So 1% down payment, 1% of $350,000 is $3,500. Okay.
Would you recommend condos? Purchasing condos?
Turn your fucking brain off, dude. If somebody's gonna sell you anything with like 1% down that's worth that much, just buy it. I don't care if it's a fucking bus, a houseboat. It's probably worth more. A condo, whatever it is, just buy it. Right? If you're into it for next to nothing, all these guys do this. Fuck you. Just buy everything. Okay? Don't guarantee every debt. Don't guarantee any debt, and just go make a huge fucking mess, clean it up, make a bunch of money, and go make a bigger mess. So if somebody's willing to sell you a condo for little to nothing down, owner financed, I don't care if there's bodies in it, I'm buying it. So 1% down, right?
And occupied till next year.
What's it rented for?
2,000 as
Okay. So it's rented. It's rented for $2,000. What's a condo association? And condo fees and taxes. And like what terms? AJ is in essence, to use round numbers, going to buy a house for $350,000, more than it's worth, owner financed. Why would I give the guy more than it's worth?
Because we're not even close to those numbers, so if we can't have numbers, we're going to have terms.
Yeah. So what terms would make this favorable?
0% annual interest.
Yeah, no interest is a great term.
Yeah, that's
You know what another fucking great term is?
0% down.
No payments. No payments, no interest, 3 years. And it doesn't report to AJ's credit. Do I give a fuck what the market does over the next 3 years if I got a loan for $350,000 with no interest and no payments? If it goes up, I'll sell it. If it goes down, it doesn't report to his credit anyway, and it's not like we're going to default on the payments because there are no payments. So 3 years later comes around. AJ's been collecting $2,000 a month, paying the condo association, which could be 200, 500, 400. I saw one for 750. Could be 1,000 if they have like a fucking spa. I don't know. If they do, I'm probably using it. Right? And they got a pool. Fort Lee. Probably a bunch of hot Asian chicks. You get the bikini, we get in shape. I'm coming over.
It's currently occupied by like Koreans or something.
Elvis is coming over too.
Dude, my wife's Korean. We're in there.
Yeah, dude.
We'll blend right in.
Dude. Tomorrow, 2 p.m.
Just hide behind it.
So, let's say after taxes, after insurance, after condo association fees, AJ's only positive $1,000 a month because there's no interest and no payments. And if they want interest, okay, fine. You get, what interest do you want? You can have your interest and I'll overpay as long as there's no payments for a year or 2 years. Even if it's a year and you're only positive $1,000, you just made $12,000. And when the note comes due, yeah, I can't sell it. There's more owed on it than it's worth. You want it back? Oh, you don't? Well, then I guess we got to renegotiate, right? Or you could just foreclose on me. In which case, it's going to take a year or two anyway, and I'm just going to keep collecting the fucking rent. So now you made 24 grand, 36. Who cares? I mean, this is a savvy person that is trying to take advantage of you, and fuck them. Really hard. No lube. But then when we own it, now we're in a position of power where it's like, you wanted me to pay for it, so we did. But guess what? It's not worth what we paid. I just learned a hard lesson, even though I made 12 grand doing it. I can't sell it for more than it's worth like you did because it won't appraise. You took advantage of me. You want it back?
Say they were willing to come down to, like the 310, 325 number.
I would rather have no interest, no payments. Because if they're going to come down to 310 to 325, there's still no equity in this thing.
True.
And when you sell it, you're still going to have to pay closing costs and other stuff. So now you're at zero. So the money in this is more with terms and rent collection. And I'll take every one of these I can get. You realize, I mean, if you're making $12,000 a year positive off of this, I mean, what's your life like if you got 5 or 10 of these? It's pretty decent, right? I mean, that's like, be clearing maybe like 8-10 grand a month. Be pretty cool. Again, buy everything and just know how to do it. Who needs more splaining? Yeah, dude, there's nothing to be ashamed of. Come on.
I know.
Raise the roof.
My question was, so you're saying after, say for instance, you do the 3 years with 0% interest, you can I don't get how you can renegotiate after you already purchased it.
So, if money from the bank, right, for 3 years, and at the end of the 3 years it was due, with no payments, right, and it's $350,000 attached to a property that's worth $310,000. You can't sell that property and get that money out. It's time to renegotiate. They have created their own short sale. And it's really just because they're greedy fucks and they think he's a stupid kid, but he's not. Actually works his ass off. I've seen him do it. And sometimes you got to be stupid like a fox. Somebody wants to take advantage of you, let them. Because it doesn't report to your credit anyway. Do you realize even if you let this go and it got foreclosed on and you owned it in your name, the deed read AJ Santana, you would get served by the sheriff, you would get sued, you'd go through the entire foreclosure process in name and name only. You'd pop up on the list penance list. Every investor in the state of New Jersey would know you, but your credit would stay really good, and you'd make a lot of friends. Everybody would be marketing to you. What's up?
Is it okay if I give a seller $1,000 so we can close it?
Sure. Which one?
For 48
Yeah, do it. There's like 500 in my wallet if we can find it. You have it, you need it. Fuck it, I don't get to do anything anymore. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you can get foreclosed on in like an owner financing deal or a subject to deal, it is better than going to a networking event. Because at a networking event, everybody's bullshit. Hi, my name's Joe. My name's Nick. I do this. This is my fucking group. Everything's wonderful. Look at how big my dick is. But when you're actually in foreclosure like 5 or 6 times, now the real players that are actually marketing to people are all contacting you. And you're getting postcards, and you're getting letters, and you're getting phone calls. And these guys all really want to buy. So you might as well take the time out and talk to them, because now you've got a buyer's list, and this guy just paid you to do it. So you know everybody buying in Fort Lee. And now you're pretty much just like a personal shopper, shopping for your buyer's list because you were brave enough to get foreclosed on just for the experience. And when I started doing this, everybody was trying to figure out, like the New Jersey Real Estate Investment Club, how the fuck I was doing it. Because I'd like go, all right, guys, drinks on me tonight, and throw my platinum card on the bar. And then everybody's looking at the Pennants list going, this guy's losing like 10 houses. How the fuck does he have an AM? I was like, come on, guys, keep drinking. I want the black card. Bust out the Macallan. It's time for shots. I heard that shit's expensive, like 250. It works. That's marketing. You now get to be a distressed seller who truly doesn't give a fuck, but ham it up. Have fun with it. Oh my God, I'm losing the house. Can you make me an offer? Are you looking for anything else? I don't care. Can I take you out to lunch? And then put it on a credit card just to blow their mind.
I feel like you guys have fun with this.
Way too much. You get served by the sheriff. You bring him in. You make him a cup of coffee. It's kind of like Goodfellas. You serve other people. Wow, you got divorce notices too. Oh, and you go around and you tell people who are going to get locked up. Wow. So what do I got to do to get the list of people that you're serving every... Donuts it is. There's at least half a dozen process servers in my phone, and we're on a first-name basis. And I know Linton's seen it. Some of you may have or may not have. They come in like, hey, Chuck, there was a... Dude, the sheriff's here. He wants to, like, give you a hug. Like, yeah, he's got information, and I'm sure somebody's suing me about something. I can't wait. I mean, you understand the entire civil legal system is just like money. It's bullshit if you're protected. It's not real. It's like trying to send an adult to the principal's office. And, I mean, when you get out of it, you're going to laugh about it. So after a while, you just start laughing about it when it's happening. You're like, oh, this is a good time. We're getting sued again. I wonder how much money we're going to make this time. Let's get to know everybody. You ever look at the mail? Or ask a distressed seller to bring you their mail? Do it, and you'll see everybody that's marketing to them. You'll know everybody that wants to buy that house. Sometimes you buy a house and you ask them for all the mail that they got on the house, and they give you a bunch of postcards, and then you call them all back, and one of those people buys it from you. Wait, so you just gave me the house and the buyer. Thank you. We're done. Cannot even count how many... Yeah. It's... I mean... People were contacting this person saying, I want to buy your house. For some reason, they contacted you. For some reason, you bought it. They didn't want to call anybody back. Those people were probably slow to call them back if they called them, and it just they didn't want to have a conversation, so you made $100,000 because they had anxiety.
So let's say if you were to sell this owner financing, you got in our contract for $350.
Mhm.
You then turn it around, offer to sell owner financing on the deal, where you're off, 10%. You'll sell it for $325. Let's say you can't reach $350. $325. You ask for the 10% down. That you're passing ownership. Are you passing ownership to the tenant that you're selling to, or is it still going to be under you?
So it depends on the terms of the loan, but since private debt doesn't report to your credit, I think the correct answer is I don't care. I could sell it. If I paid $350, right, and it's worth $310 to $325, but somebody's hell-bent on owning a condo in Fort Lee because home ownership is the American dream. So, Rule, if you gave me $40,000, I'll give you this loan. I'll pass it on to you, and you can overpay by $400,000, and there you go.
So you take no risk, you're not attached to that loan anymore with financing.
Even if it's in my name. Yeah. I mean, if you're dumb enough to have, like, bank accounts in your name and stuff, I guess it could hurt you. But why would you do that? On the surface, you should be as broke as you can possibly be. You're going to reach a level where you just don't even want to make money anymore. Everybody around you will make money, but you're there just to be the draw and an asshole and a target. Go ahead, sue me. I'll make 20 grand a year. Holy shit, he does. Dude's on fucking Obamacare. What's going on?
It's not a lie. It's not Obamacare.
But why do I want to make money? Why do I want to pay taxes? There's no reason to do it after a certain point. Once everything is taken care of, and don't knock Obamacare, it's great.
You don't get it. You know?
It's awesome. If you're not on it, November's enrollment time. What else do we want to know about owner financing?
Owner financing and the difference of seller financing is the same.
So, owner financing is the owner creates a mortgage. Seller financing is the seller creates a mortgage. They're the same person. Okay, I've heard it called the seller carryback, where they'll hold a mortgage where instead of paying them what they want, it's like, how much money do you need right now? Because I see you already bought another place in Florida and you're ready to go. So it's worth $310 to $325, but if you could wait for your money, you want $350? I'll tell you what, I'll give you fucking $400. No payments, no interest for 2 years, 3 years. And if they say yes to the first thing you give them, you started too low. Get rejected, and then dial it down. It's kind of like working out, right? We're going to work out too hard. First week of every month, go lift weights till you fucking vomit, and then just dial it back. Find the limit. Okay, well, now we know the top. Let's find the floor. Same shit.
I can't get off. I can't sit on the toilet right now. Just because I did too many squats. Just letting you know. Yeah. Just letting you know. Y'all see me hobbling around like there's something up my ass, that's why.
Evelyn, we're going to need to help him later. I think that was a cry for help.
Right. So with the owner financing, obviously the owner's financing it. It's like going to the bank and getting the loan, right?
Nobody's going to a bank. You own a house that's paid off. It's worth $300,000. You want $300,000. I don't want to pay market for anything because it's not a deal. But if you can wait for your money, then I can give you what you want, because you can only take out so many loans with a bank before your credit is shot. But an owner financing loan doesn't report to your credit. Pretty cool. Just like, why would I give my credit partner such a great deal? Because I want to take care of them, because the loan is going to report to their credit. I don't want to overpay for a property, especially when I'm taking somebody else with me. I'm like their friggin' real estate Sherpa, right? And I want to make sure that it's still a deal. So obviously these are going to have to be lower than market, than owner financing deals, where in, again, AJ's case, and we'll know tomorrow at 2 o'clock, this person is asking more than the property is worth. I could not actually go out, no matter how good my loan is, my credit is, and everything else in my life, a bank will not give me a loan the property appraises for, unless it's 2005. Then they'll give you anything.
Is there a way to do like a house hack or live for free in a owner finance strategy? Using
So in this one, depending on the terms, if you got no interest and no payments, or I don't care if the interest is 300% with no payments, you'd still have to pay the condo association fees and the taxes, which would both come before the first mortgage. But theoretically, if you got really angry at this person, which I'm not saying you should do,
Oh gosh, here we go. We're getting creative now.
if you had a loan with a bank, typically the taxes and insurance are escrowed as part of the mortgage, right? Because the bank's in first position and they want to see to it that the taxes get paid so the house doesn't get, so the tax liens don't get sold and the house doesn't get foreclosed on. Because tax liens come before the first position mortgage, okay? They're even more firster. So if you were also responsible for paying taxes, and I'm not saying that you should do this, and I'm not saying that you should not, you could go to the sale and buy the tax liens 2 years in a row for, let's say the taxes are $12,000 a year. You wouldn't even have to. You ever go to a tax lien auction? So it's a reverse auction where they go, all right, we got this $12,000 tax lien. Who's willing to get 20% interest? 20, great. 19, 18. And sometimes people will bid all the way down to zero. So there's no interest on their investment. Much like my last two exes, they have ulterior motives. Okay? And then even pay interest on the money. So somebody will go -1, -2, -3, -6, because now I will actually give the court system selling that tax lien $12,000 and 6% interest. I'm paying them on a lien on the property. And if I could buy 2 liens in a row, I get to start the foreclosure process. I do that, that actually wipes off completely. Or they have to pay me back. So you can foreclose for $24,000, own this condo, and get rid of the $350,000.
I see it, right.
Which, believe it or not, a lot of times if tax liens get sold and a property gets foreclosed on for a mortgage, it's usually a low bank mortgage, like $100,000 or less, because the bank just doesn't care. It's like pocket change. Or it's an owner financing mortgage where somebody's not paying attention. Cray cray. The what? So, as the owner of record on the deed, AJ will get something in the mail saying you got to pay your taxes, you got to pay your taxes, you got to pay your taxes, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. I know because I've actually done this to myself to figure out how to do it. I have bought my own fucking tax liens to foreclose off my own mortgage because I wanted to know how to do it. I get bored quick. Then they start giving you the sale date for 2019. They give you like a bunch of last chances. It usually happens like, not January, like more like April-ish, somewhere in there. They'll give you a date, you all get together, you bid on it, you buy your tax lien, you do it again the next year. You can start the foreclosure process, and when you do, then you have to serve everybody on title. And if it goes through foreclosure completely, the first lien holder, which is the guy who bought 2 years worth of tax liens in a row, gets the deed at the sale. You have to file suit to quiet title, and it wipes off the first mortgage. So you're going to go to a tax lien auction, and you're going to be competing with a lot of first-generation Americans. There's going to be a lot of Orthodox and Hasidic Jews, a lot of off-the-boat Indians, a lot of Middle Easterns, a lot of people that like to haggle, a lot of people that like to get interest rates, and they'll go down to like 3%. That's still good interest that you can't get at the bank. but usually they stop around there and they won't go to like 2 or 1, even though they're only getting like 0.5 at the bank. But if they want the property, they'll go into the negatives. But yeah, there's going to be some pretty stiff competition.
So you have to apply the tax lien to your specific property.
To start foreclosing, yeah.
So what if somebody gets second year occupancy? So you would have to.
You just come with enough money. You best come correct, right? Don't even show up if you don't have the cash.
Yeah, especially if you're staying in that place, you should have money.
Yeah.
Sorry if I missed this point entirely, but if you purchase it for 2 years, say 24,000, will the owner get paid out? Confused on that. They won't. They'll never.
You're the owner.
Or the owner, the seller who's financing the property.
No.
You became the owner.
No, the seller who's got the first position mortgage is now in second position to the first year of tax liens and third position after you've bought the second year.
They notify them that they on the second position.
They are supposed to. However, I mean, I did this kind of by accident where I just like missed a tax notice. I was like, fuck it, let's just let it go. I'm going to foreclose myself. Let's have fun. When you bid, you also have to bid in an entity that's different than the entity that owns the deed, because AJ cannot own the property, owe the mortgage, and own the tax liens, but AJ's girlfriend can buy the tax liens. So can AJ's friend Elvis or whoever. Kind of all stronger together. And it's perfectly fine to show up with just a bag of cash. I've actually got a picture of myself somewhere at like 28 years old standing in front of a fucking judge's bench with just a book bag full of cash going like, I was like, wait, this is cool, so let me take a picture. I gotta find that. More questions? Cool? Can take it down? And a lot of this stuff is kind of like nobody really wants you to get to that financially free position. Like, let me just confirm for you right now, it is a conspiracy. Everybody like that makes more than you wants to keep you where you are. And there's a whole new fucking world open up to me that you guys don't get to see. Including fucking hedge funds and sophisticated accredited investments and all kinds of stuff that you can't do that I get invited to. I don't really like those people. They're gonna kind of hate me when they see this video too. All right.
Can you explain an escrow letter?
An escrow letter?
It may help us on the deal we just closed.
That's cool. Yeah. See, do you have one?
No, I think
So a lot of times when you guys buy these things subject to or whatever, I make you get an escrow letter. Linton's got one right now. We're already getting the mail for it, right? Okay. So either way, how much is an escrow?
27,802.
So if somebody's been making payments on a mortgage, okay, and taxes are paid quarterly, when you pay off that mortgage, if there's money in an escrow account with the bank for that quarter's worth of taxes, which is $2,700, $27,000, so they hadn't been paying for a while, or somebody had been paying, but for some reason the bank hadn't been paying, you send them the escrow letter, and it'll tell them to apply that $27,000 to the balance, which usually never happens, and more often than not what happens is they turn around and they just send you that check, which I'm assuming we got that in the mail today at the P.O. box. So what's probably more likely going to happen is they're going to mail us a check for $27,000 in the original owner's name, whom we have a power of attorney for, which we then endorse over to ourselves and take to the bank, and boom, 27 grand. It's kind of like the 10 the other day. It's just like a nice surprise. Just happy mistakes. Wasn't expecting that. Go out to dinner or something. When you get it, we'll celebrate, okay? Good job. Halfway. All right. What do you want next? Where is
Does anyone not have paperwork here, by the way? I have some extra copies down here if anyone wants to take a stack.
loan mod subject to?
Just extra basic. You got it last time. First time you were here, is that basic?
So I'm gonna
Just the basic stuff.
do the subject to refi and the loan mod subject to. All right, which is gonna be two things that you guys are gonna see pretty frequently in a declining market. So we're gonna go. Subject to refi, loan mod subject to. And I probably don't have to use a lot of diagrams for these, okay? Some of you guys have seen this before. Okay. Loan mod subject to is going to be, let's say you've got somebody where they owe about what the property's worth. There's no equity in it, but you know you can rent it for $2,000 a month. You get all the paperwork signed, you get the deed signed, you get everything else. It's going to be the same process as a short sale. However, the payment's not going to make a lot of sense because the payment's like $3,000. But many times the reason why they fell behind is because there's some sort of financial distress, and maybe you want more rentals in your life. So exactly the same paperwork for a short sale, I would hand to Linton and have him do a loan mod, provided that our seller didn't really care if the mortgage had stayed in their name, or if they had filed bankruptcy, which I've also done, and still have a bunch of properties with loans in my name that have been discharged, that are current, that no longer report to my credit. Pretty cool, right? You can then modify that loan. So let's just use this rent thing. Let's say we can rent a house for $2,000, and right now the payment is $3,000. Person lost their job. Is that enough information for you to start talking about it? What else do you need? So for a $3,000 mortgage payment, let's say they owe $400, and they're asking $400, and it's worth $400. Does that help? Okay. The payment's $3,000. I know I can rent it for $2,000. They lost their jobs. We bought it subject to. It's in foreclosure. Can you modify the loan so that it's less than what I can rent it for? So if they get a job, you can do that. Okay. So you've moved out. Everything's great. Now you're employed. Honestly, I'd like to make this loan current. However, Mr. Seller, the payment doesn't seem to make sense. You already filed bankruptcy, so it doesn't report to your credit, or you told me you don't care, you got a job. I need all the stuff on the short sale checklist, which is the same thing for the loan mod checklist. However, probably not making what I was making before. New job, got to work my way up the ladder. Plus, I'm 6 months behind.
When did you get the loan?
2006.
2006. How did you get the loan?
I don't know. I called up some shady mortgage broker. I was like, I need a loan.
Did you do no doc? Did you do equity check? Did you do convention?
I don't remember.
All right. Can you bring it down, Sen?
Yeah.
So we can examine?
Yes.
Just on what I know in the past and what I see, I can get the payments down to about 17 to 18.
Okay. So just using loose hypotheticals, it's something to look at. And I mean, what I look for with sellers is not really a deal mathematically as much as what I look for is just compliance. And do one of these where not only did they get a loan modification, but they also got a principal appraisal was. So the loan stays in the seller, the payment, and they dial what's owed down to what it's actually worth. So if it was worth $300,000, they would modify the loan and say the principal's actually less. It's what the market is now as well. We should have never given you this loan. We're so sorry. Sign here. Don't ever come after us. You now owe $100,000 less. It's one of those things that, plus she thinks you're cute. Let's be honest.
So you're gonna qualify for that principal,
I need to talk to her about how she's done it. And by me saying I need to talk to her about how she does it, he's got to talk to her about how she does it. Because we are Negan. It's like The Walking Dead. So you can do loan modifications and a lot of these like really skinny deals to make them improved, provided that the seller is cooperative and out of the house, and as long as they're willing to give you documents, you can dial that payment down till it makes sense. They have to be employed, and again, it's a non-recourse loan to you. So if cash flow is more important to you than a chunk, and $300 a month forever, provided it's rented, paying off an asset over time is more important than a quick chunk of money, which ain't gonna be too big in this situation anyway, I'd say do it. No? Maybe? Can I take that down? So loan modification subject to refi. Sometimes you want the house. Who can't get a mortgage in here? You probably can't. You can't. If you don't have a job right now, you can't. There's points in time where you can. There's points in time where you can't. He is right. He is right.
but it's under my own.
But you got unemployment coming in on your personal. That counts as income. Unemployment is income. We've had plenty of people use an unemployed friend or relative as a co-borrower. And income. You could do it as a primary. It's just not going to be a very big house. All right. And need it. They need $50,000 to. Now I looked at doing it like that. The guy's going back to Colombia. I think this is. Give him the $250. And and then deed the property over to you. Holy shit, right? Walking away from it anyway. Knows he's going to sell it under market. If he's got decent credit, if he can get pre-qualified for a loan, and he's going to a different country for sure, doesn't care about his credit, because this is going to stay in his name, or maybe he does, because you're still going to make the payments, you can have the individual refinance and pull the money out before they sell you the house. Now you've got a rental property subject to with a brand new 30-year fixed loan, and it's still got $50,000 in equity in it. Questions? Everybody's got that blank, like, stare tonight.
So, what did you deal the hotel deal
It's a $250,000 refinance. He's asking for 50, right? He owes 200. He's asking 250. It's worth 3. So you're the seller. You've got your act together. Listen, this is going to be the best way to do it. You're going to refinance. Rates are lower. There are going to be situations where $50,000 on a 30-year fixed mortgage doesn't increase your payment by that much. You know, it's not like the taxes are going to go up. It's not like the insurance is going to go up. I mean, $10,000 on a 30-year fixed mortgage might increase your payment by like $50 a month. So it's not going to be that bad. So by refinancing, if you didn't have $50,000 and you didn't want to guarantee the debt before he deeds it over to you, he gets what he wants and you get what you want. So who got hurt? No. And you just have to have a decent mortgage broker on your team and familiarize yourself with this stuff. It works. It's pretty simple. So why does nobody ever think of it? Because if you didn't run around your fucking real estate group borrowing from hard money lenders, they wouldn't make any money. That's why.
Do you recommend owner financing your own house?
As long as you're on top of the fact that the taxes are being paid, does it help you?
I'm just curious, just because, like I said, for example, just numbers. I owe 75 on my mortgage. House is worth almost 4. If I refi that for a 30-year, get a lower monthly payment, owner finance it to end user, it's still cash flow from that. But then my question would be,
Yeah, but you'd be selling it. You'd be selling it subject to.
how is that?
Yeah, owner finance would be like 100% paid off. People sell businesses a lot of times owner financed. You got one? A business or so you bought one or you sold it?
No, I bought it.
So you did. You probably put something down, right? Okay, you probably got a good deal.
Nice.
I have a friend who's got a landscaping company that's valued at like $1 million, and every 2, 3, 5 years he sells it to somebody who borrows a bunch of money and puts down 250, 500, and then works the business for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, washes out, has to give the business back to the guy that sold it to him, and then he sells it again. And he does nothing else. And he just wants to get rid of it. He's like, fuck, I gotta sell it again. Like, you realize you made like $3 million off selling this business since I've known you for 25 years, right? It's like, yeah, but I just want to get rid of it. Well, don't get rid of it. Just keep reselling it. It's like the goose that laid the golden egg, and then when he sells it, he winds up being a consultant and an employee for the guy that he sells it to anyway, so he gets a paycheck too. And he'll tell them, stop fucking drinking so much. Show up to work. You're going to lose this. If you are ever, Rule, going to sell something subject to or owner financed, get a deed in lieu of foreclosure. You know what that is? So that's like, there'd be a lot of people that tell you can't do it the same date of the loan. So just put a different fucking date on the deed. Or better yet, just forget to put a date on it. if I've owner financed this house that was paid off to you, or like AJ had, for $350,000, and there's payments, and you ever don't pay me, by the 15th, I'd send you a late letter. There's a late fee. If you don't pay me by the 1st, I don't even have to foreclose, because in my safe, there's a pre-signed deed in lieu of foreclosure. I just walk that down to the courthouse 30 days later, and I own that fucker again. Now I've circumvented the court system too. Because that's just designed to bleed you dry.
So obviously that's just in your contract that if you're within the have
In your contract or not, sign this deed in lieu of foreclosure. Here's a copy for you too. Here's a picture of you with it. I'm going to record the whole fucking thing so we know you knew about it. And that's like the best thing to do. And I didn't know. Let's go to the videotape. It works.
protect yourself.
Yeah, at all times. Trust me, like the first time I got divorced, I went to my doctor to go get like shots for every STD you could possibly get. And the doctor's like, do you have anything? I was like, no. He's like, well, if you got anything, how would you know where you got it? And I was like, let's go to the videotape. And then my pediatrician went, that just did it for me. You've convinced me. I am now retiring. I'd like to thank you for helping me make up my mind. I'm out. True story. Sadly. Out. Same deal. Owed 200, asking 250, so you had him refinance for 250. It's worth 300. There's $50,000 in equity. So you could sell it. In which case their commission's coming out of that 50,000. So now you're getting less money. There are people out there who make a lot of money off the books. They're not even all drug dealers. A lot of times it's like the dude that owns the pizza place down the block is like, I wish I could buy a house, but I don't declare a lot of income, but I have like 300 grand in cash, but I don't want to pay cash for a house because it's stupid. And trust me, if you go to a closing and like shake out a bag with $250,000, they don't take it. They make you put it in the bank, and then when you go into the bank and try to deposit that money, they report you to the IRS and they want to know how you got it. Ask me how I know this. Everybody makes mistakes, okay? But much like we buy houses, NFL style, sell this house rather than rent it to pizza guy for 300 grand who can't get a loan, but he gave you $50,000 in cash. Walk my friend Nick through one of these with the exact same numbers. Okay, not something you want to brag about too much, but hypothetically, if somebody gave you 50 grand in cash, you would just deed it over for the outstanding mortgage, $250,000, subject to making them aware of the fact that you're going to have to keep paying this mortgage in somebody else's name till it's paid off, because you can't get a mortgage, but this is the only way you're going to be able to buy a house. You do it owner financing too. Your job at the pizza, really look at it. This is here right now. It's getting loud. He pays the mortgage. If he doesn't pay the mortgage, he gets foreclosed on. It destroys the other person's credit. If he pays it off in 30 years or less, it's a debt-free house in his name. Got it? Don't got it?
My question is always, what's the, for the person selling the house, the one providing stuff to,
Okay.
what do we get? They'll get their,
Well, look, I mean, again, he...
What's the
This person refinanced out, right? They refinanced out, took their 50,000. That was their benefit.
But keeping it under their name, I'm saying, so that's,
I don't seem to have a problem doing it. I mean, I live in one. He lives in one. A bunch of other guys in the office live in one. And now that you don't have a job and you're just doing nothing but this, the more deals you look at, the more weird shit you'll find. And if everybody else is looking at a deal, it's probably not a deal, right? Look at all the weird shit that nobody else looks at. There's a lot more money in it and no competition. So this guy's motivation was he wanted 50 grand. He refinanced out. He got it. This guy's motivation was, and this is one of the few scenarios where you can either do it for a chunk of change or you can rent to own it to him over time, where you can actually sell the house for more than it's worth because you don't need an appraisal, and it's worth to that guy more than it's worth because he can't buy any other house on the market. If you don't believe me, go get a rent to own sign. You use Pat Live, put the rent to own sign in front of your house. You won't be able to keep up with the calls. I don't know anybody else aside from me that's actually done them successfully in New Jersey. Nobody wants to do them because eviction laws suck. But because it's under contract, not only with the rental part are you going to get a security deposit for the month and a half's rent, but you're also going to get a down payment. So what do they got? Because if they ever get evicted or don't close, they lose that too. So if they give you 10 or 20 grand, you're not giving that back. So I think that'll carry you through the eviction. You know, I've never had one of these, and, you know, I haven't done hundreds of them, but it's probably around like 25. I've never had a problem with one of them. Not one. And I think the reason is they've given you tens of thousands of dollars to secure the fact that I am buying this. My family needs, there is, hey, honey, I found a house we can buy. You know, you've been nagging me about reporting income and getting decent, I don't need that shit anymore. I'm learning.
when did you go between owner financing or lease option? Like, when did you differentiate?
Me buying on a lease option
Oh, no, you,
or me selling on a lease option? All right, so your signs are going to say rent to own because it's closer to fifth grade language than lease option. More people will understand I can pay rent and eventually I can own versus lease option. I don't even know what the fucking second word means. And I mean, I've done option contracts. All it does is overcomplicate everything and confuse all the lawyers, and you just have to educate everybody, and it sucks. So if you're going to sell something on a rent to own, when the time comes to actually put together like the paperwork, it's a purchase and sales agreement for 365 days, Ruel. And this should be in some of the material that I've given you. If not, I'll make sure I cover it. Purchase and sales agreement for 365 days. On the purchase and sales agreement, you reference the down payment, which is as large and non-refundable as you can possibly get. And then rather than giving the people a lease, we give them, and it's in the old binder we have, I'll make sure it's in the new one too, we give them what's called a Use and Occupancy Agreement, which means that they're moving into this house that they're under contract to buy, but if they don't buy it, they lose. And that's in that binder that I think we gave you too.
And they'll fix up the house and everything. It's gonna be there.
Yeah, somebody puts that much money in, you've seen this, it's friggin' amazing what they do to the houses. Like, you know what, I did get one of these back, Royal, but I think it was a tragedy where, it was probably Roselle or something, where I think the guy, I think his wife died, or somebody died, and he had to move. But the guy, Use and Occupancy, did it for like 2 years, and when we did get it back, and he moved out, and he was sad, and I think we did give him his down payment back, because we had like new bathrooms, he retiled everything, like, it's a brand new fucking house. It was worth more than what we sold it to him for. And How do I know when to do it? A lot of it is case by case and it's intuitive. And if you got one, I mean, shit, you know how to find me. Like, you quit your job, dude. Proud of you, I am. Good shit. So, ask. And all I'm going to say is my opinion or what I would do. There's other ways to do it. I just don't know anybody that's actually done it more. I know a lot of people that have written a lot of books, just don't really do the shit. And that's the problem with a lot of this real estate investment education shit. I worked for Carlton Sheets for a couple months as a platform closer until I got disgusted with the fact that nobody was actually doing this shit. Fuck you guys, I'm out. Subject to refi is done. Refi subject to. So refi and then buy it subject to. I think she wrote something on here twice. Well, backwards and forwards. So what do you want next?
So are those the same thing? Just like backwards?
Yeah, I gave her a sheet that I had from something else. I think it's probably my screwed up writing that I transposed it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, refi by subject to, then you could refi if you wanted. But there's not a lot of reason to do that unless there's a ton of equity and you can get a significantly better loan, or maybe you want to pull some of that equity out so you have more operating capital. And I mean, that's going to be case by case as well. Yeah. Sellers down payment assistance. It's like the Holy Trinity, right? So if you ever want to sell a house quick, people don't buy houses, they buy payments they can afford. Does anybody feel any differently? If Evelyn, if I showed you $1 million house, and I was like, and the payment's only $2,500 a month, you'd buy that $1 million house, right?
Not me. Not the one I saw. But yeah, I guess.
Wrong answer. So, a seller's concession, a rate buy down, and down payment assistance. We can cover these three things. We got, and I'm going to tweak the numbers a little bit. Who knows what a seller's concession is? Anyone want to take a shot at it? Yeah, any lender, including FHA, will allow the seller to give a gift back to the buyer, and it's called the seller's concession. In the old book that you have, Ruel, it actually even shows you how to write it up. I would talk to the mortgage broker the buyer's using, or recommend them one that you know. And the reason for doing that is going to be pretty simple. You want to get the wording right on your purchase and sales agreement, which is usually seller will grant buyer a seller's concession in the amount of $15,000. You got to write it out in numbers and words, to be used for cost of closing, but not to exceed cost of closing, right? Sometimes it'll be a percentage of the purchase price. You have to find out what that lender wants you to do. If you screw it up, they'll just tell you to fix it, so don't worry, go make a mess. And it actually will leave your buyer with more money in their pocket because they don't have to come to the table with 15 grand to close. So you're doing a good thing by paying their closing costs out of your proceeds, and the bank knows it. Because if they've got an extra $15,000 and somebody loses the job, they've got $15,000 before they miss a payment, theoretically. But we know that they're going to go out and buy a new car or furniture or some other shit. But a seller's concession is just a way out of your, let's say you got a potential $100,000 in proceeds, and this is like slash and burn, smash mouth real estate. If you're looking for the buyer to pay $300,000, you're selling it at market. It's not going to go that quick. But if you offer to pay everybody's closing costs, right, with a seller's concession, now you're only making 85, but you're going to make it a lot quicker. And a lot of people that are educated buyers actually know about this stuff, but rarely, if ever, do you see something like that on the MLS. I know when I've bought properties personally myself, I always ask for it. Hey, I will give you exactly what you're asking for. I just need you to give me a $15,000 seller's concession. It takes a minute for it to sink in, but most people are going to make an offer that's slightly lower anyway. And they'll realize I'm only walking with 85 instead of 100. But when they start to see it like I'm setting this guy up to succeed, I am actually getting my number, the number that I really wanted, not what I listed it at. It's about as win-win as it gets, and the banks encourage it, the mortgage companies encourage it. Most realtors don't know how to use one because most realtors' careers last 6 months. That's a fact. You can look it up.
So that example you were giving earlier, you paid for the captain of the fire departments.
Yeah.
Car down payment, that would be considered
Oh, no, I just paid his car off because I'm a nice guy.
oh, okay. So the whole car off, that's considered a seller's concession.
No, that was just because I'm cool.
So
I want him to like me.
So it's just strictly closing costs.
Yeah, the $15,000 is just strictly closing costs. So if the closing costs add up to $14,500, the seller walks with the extra $5,000. You can't walk with money off a seller's concession. Or if it's miraculously your closing costs are only like $7,000 or $8,000, it's only $7,000 or $8,000. So again, the seller walks with more money. And before you know it, the seller's completely compliant. They're introducing you to lawyers that cost less, and everything seems to be happy. Boss, the one that you just gave that guy $1,000 to close. Did we give him a seller's concession? I don't even remember.
Yeah.
Okay. It makes your property more appealing. No closing costs. You don't even have to write seller's concession. No closing costs. Or seller will pay buyer's closing costs. All of a sudden, a lot more eyes fall on that as a listing or an ad in the paper or whatever. It's just $85,000 quick or $100,000 that you may not get for 6 months, 12 months, 2 years. A rate buy down, if banks are going to allow you to do that, and if there's extra money left in your seller's concession, like your closing costs were only $7,000-8,000, or if they would allow you to give more, you can take the leftover money that adds up to $15,000, unless they'll allow you to give more, and you can actually buy down the interest rate, right? Or even pay for it out of your own pocket or your own proceeds on top of that. So if every human being on earth can get a 4.5% interest rate, because that's what banks are giving interest rates out at, but I am already giving a $15,000 seller's concession, and I ask the buyer's mortgage broker, since I'm selling it at $300,000, how much can I buy down the rate on the mortgage? And it's typically, interest rates are like at, let's say they're at 4, and any mortgage broker this guy goes to can get a mortgage at 4, but by me slashing and burning another $5,000 to $10,000, I can get him an interest rate at 3%. Why would I do that? It's a hell of a lot more attractive. I may also say, and motherfucker, you one of these 3 mortgage brokers, because then I can also peer into the financing process and feel every bump in the road. Hey, why hasn't this closed yet? And a lot of times, sister, her first house, right? Because they had it under contract for 6 months. They're going to lose like $90,000 down payment. And just to complicate matters, she's a doctor. Okay, there's lawyers, engineers, really hard to teach. You were my last one. There will be no more. There could be only one. They're really smart when they get it, but every time they go, we need an updated W-2, we need pay stub. She go, why? What? You're great, but here's the policy. Broker asks you for something, you get it to him in 24 hours or less. Same day, next day. Because if you don't, you're going to lose your down payment and the house. But if you do, you're going to get it. So why? Just do it. They ask, you give. They ask, you give. But I want to know. You get to fucking know when you move in. I'll explain it all then. That's when you get to know. Until then, you're completely compliant. That's how it works. When you're on friendly terms with the mortgage broker for your buyer, there's no rule that says that mortgage broker can't talk to you about the loan process. And a lot of times if you want things to close quicker, you can tell that mortgage broker, I'm here to help you out. I'm going to be a little loan processor. If you've sold the house yourself without a realtor, chances are the buyer knows you. You're on good terms too. And, oh, well, I couldn't get in my tax returns because they're in my attic and it's hot up there. I was going to wait till November. All right, well, fuck that shit. I'm coming over right now in my underwear. We're going to get them. Tell me what the box looks like. I'm wearing a bathing suit. This ought to be cool. And I got a hydro pack and one of those stupid fans that's strapped to my head. You know, or, yeah, I don't know. I keep faxing him over and he keeps not getting them. You start talking to the mortgage broker. Yeah, we didn't get them, but every time I go to the fax machine, we get 15 blank pages. And then you go to the seller's place and you realize he's putting the shit in the fax machine wrong. And this is, you laugh, but this is the shit that closes deals. This is why most people wash out. And it's like herding cats and managing, I don't want to say stupid people, but people who are unfamiliar with the process. Because a lot of times they're really intelligent people that just make stupid little mistakes. Or they want to know why. Let me take 2 hours to talk to my mortgage broker and yell at him so he can do less business and I can still not understand the process. You don't want an understanding. You're never going to do this again. You just want the house. You get the house by giving him what he asks for in a timely fashion. He asks you, you give him. He asks you, I don't care if he asks you what kind of fucking underwear you wear, you tell him. Are we grasping these concepts? I have done some hard money lending, like personally to people, which doesn't report to their credit. But you can do whatever you want because you're the bank, right? So sometimes I'll get one of these big impressive dudes at one of these real estate clubs going, I need $500,000. And I'll go, that's great. Let's pull your credit. And they go, but it's a non-recourse loan. I don't have to do that. Fuck you, pal. I'm giving you $500,000. If I ask you if you wear women's underwear, you take your fucking pants off right now. I want you to understand that, okay? I'm not looking at your credit. I'm looking for fucking compliance. Okay, send me some naked pictures of your wife, too. I just saw her. She's hot. You want this deal? Show me. And they either fall in line or they fuck off. Jesus, Elvis, don't take this the wrong way, but I really want to sell you a house now.
Stay away from my wife.
Fuck.
What's the underwear thing?
He got a sense of humor. No.
They're blue.
Did everyone go in the bathroom and help you out? Were you stuck in there? Okay.
Not yet.
So we got the concept behind rate buy down. And we got the concept, too, that by giving a seller's concession and a rate buy down, we're making sure they have more money in the bank and a lower interest rate than they can get anywhere else. In essence, it's an ethical bribe, not to control the loan, but to be able to feel every bump in the road and to get updates. And the more you control every piece on the board, the smoother these things go. Just like if they're looking for lawyers, you can't just give them one lawyer. But if you got a list of 2, 3, 4, 5 that all know each other and play golf together, you'd be amazed. Those things just like, holy shit, how'd that close that fast? Well, they were golfing together. Down and short personal loan are going to come hand in hand. Let's say I bought this thing for $200,000, right? And it's worth $3, and I sold it at $3, and I'm happy if I get 50 grand out of it, right? I mean, that's cool. That's not a bad first deal. But I know there's a potential 100, so I sell it for 300. I pay everybody's closing costs. I give them a rate buy down, and I typically put these things in land trusts. Does anybody know what a land trust is? So a land trust is an entity that owns a property that's not an LLC. It doesn't have its own tax ID number. It doesn't file its own taxes. It just shelters the ownership from everybody else in the world, and nobody gets to know who the real owner is. It's just like OJ, nobody got to know who the real killer was.
Why ever put it in
Because people who teach real estate seminars make extra money by selling you LLCs. That's all the couple. It's not worth like the $20 LegalZoom gives you a referral fee for. I mean, you should own an LLC. You should have at least like one. Just for business. What?
document that claims beneficiaries of that trust?
Yeah. And if one of those beneficiaries, by the way, you control that document and nobody gets to see it till you show them. If one of those beneficiaries happened to be a family member who they introduced you to, you can actually put that person on the trust agreement, and that person can then gift equity to the buyer. So, yeah, but you followed it. I could see your eyes. I can't even see your mouth, but I saw your eyes, and like, I smell the wood burning. Right. I spent a lot of time with Matt Victoria and his underwriters talking to them about this, and they were like, "Do you have anything to do? You do a lot of drugs, right? Like, was this LSD? How'd you figure? I never tried that shit."
Don't worry, dude, I got you.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I want on YouTube. So if they wanted to put 10% down, and I brought the trust agreement to the table stating that one of their family members was the beneficiary, as well as me, and we can line it up so they'd have a certain percentage and we'd have a certain percentage, and they want to put 10% down on a $300,000 house, that's $30,000, right? That down payment assistance, that never has to even be in their bank account because it's already accepted that it's equity in the house. And if it's equity in the house and one of the relatives is a beneficiary, a gift of equity is a sourced and seasoned down payment. I have exorcised the demons.
This is what we tried dealing with my sister.
This is what we tried doing with your sister. That sounds so weird to say, but yeah.
I'm waiting for the joke. Oh gosh. The brain is not that clean. You knew it out of that.
A lot of people think I don't have a filter, but I really do. If I didn't have a filter, it'd be horrible. This would be like X-rated.
So basically, you can sell this for someone that can get a mortgage with no money down.
And set them up to succeed more than somebody that's just got a perfect credit score and money and a job and everything else. Doesn't hurt anybody. You put them in a better position. You do this for somebody, and you know what happens? They start going, I got a friend. I don't even just do something with them. They're just not doing anything with their life. And that's how I met Elvis. Fuck me. I don't fuck with you, dude. No, but I mean, it does happen. Like, people start going, you're not going to believe this. You know, I'm sitting there, they go, why would you do this for me? Well, because you put a lot of good shit out there, and it starts to come back, and I'm also still making like 50 grand, so off a complex thought that we are going to execute precisely. I don't even really like real estate. I like making money and helping people. Sometimes if I get out of bed on the other side, I like helping people and making money. And I mean, this is like Twister. This is just fun. It's a complex problem that you get to solve. Nobody believes it's possible, but I've made a career of it, like over 1,000 deals and 16 years later. And I like it a lot better than work. Just don't do all the stupid shit with the money that I've done. Well, I mean, do some stupid shit. Like you need to. Like, Devon, you close your first deal, like, how old are you?
25.
Oh, you got some stupid shit stories coming, dude. So imagine the end of this year. You still live with your parents?
Yes.
I did too. End of this year, you make 200 grand. It's
Just imagine.
you shouldn't even be allowed to have that much money. You know, I think at the end of my first year of business, I had my hand reconstructed and lost a rental car in the ocean on the North Shore of Hawaii, but it was okay because I could just put another Jeep Wrangler on my Platinum card that was pretty fucking close to unlimited by then. And stop yelling at me, Hertz, because I just paid you for the car anyway. Now, can you bring me another? I'm stuck on the North Shore and Uber doesn't exist. Please? I'm really shithoused. I gotta have somebody drive me back. And the stories just go on and on. So that's one form of down payment assistance. Other forms of down payment assistance would be, now they're getting more strict on it, but somebody in the family would have to have money sourced and seasoned. Let's say that that individual, even though they have the bank statements or whatever, does not want to give that person money for the transaction because for some reason they don't believe it's going to come back. And nobody's ever going to tell you this, but you can walk into the bank right now and, well, I don't know if you can walk in. You probably have to go to the drive-through window and wear a mask. Wow, do you wear masks in the bank now?
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
When we went to Colombia, we wore a mask.
That is fucked up, man.
They didn't let us in. We were like, no, that's right there.
What if I was really ugly? Oh, wait, no. So what I can do in that book that you got, Royal, there's a short-term personal loan agreement. Let's say this guy needed $30,000 for a down payment. You can go to the bank, and to go to a closing, you need to bring certified funds. To get a certified check, the bank is never going to fucking tell you this, but the money comes out of your account and goes into a bank's account. You know a little bit about this, I think, right? For some reason it looks like you're shaking your head or just rocking. Okay. So you can actually buy that certified check in anybody's name on the planet. So I can go, if I have the money in the account, I go, I need a certified check for 30 grand from AJ Santana to whatever title company's doing the closing, and I draw up a short-term personal loan agreement, because when I sell this house, I'm going to make 50 grand, and I'm going to get my 30 back, right? Because AJ brought the money to the table. The short-term personal loan agreement just shows that I loaned it to him for a day. He paid me back at probably no interest rate, because I'm still making 50 grand. But then I give that short-term personal loan agreement to my accountant at the end of the year, because they're like, you laid out 30 grand, then you got back 50, 60, 70, 80. And it's like, no, I only got back 50, and here's the documentation to prove it. So there's no tax on it. So that's kind of cool. That's all down payment assistance.
Basically, you're covering the gap.
I'm covering the gap. I'm making sure my buyer has a better situation lined up than any realtor could ever put them in. And you may not believe it now, but some of them are pretty responsible, and they still are like, oh my God, I'll never forget what you did for me. And then they come back and invest in your hedge fund with the money that you gave them, or they're ready to buy another property because they still have the down payment. More questions? Comments? Concerns? I got a fun one. Do like one more? When are we supposed to wrap up by?
Got another 20 minutes.
Cool. Okay. This one's just for fun. Like, sometimes I like to fuck with people. It's worth $300,000. They, whatever, extra zero. Doesn't fucking matter. That works too, right? And they're asking $400,000. And the bank refuses to short property. It's going into foreclosure. What do you do? That's too easy. Evelyn, you meet anybody you don't like? Like doing? How much do you not like them? How much do you not like them? Okay. And I mean, this is funny too, because it doesn't really hurt them. It just makes them flip the fuck out. So who signs a deed? Like, who signs a deed? The seller. The buyer doesn't sign a deed. Think about that for a minute. No. So if you ever have a train wreck of a foreclosure, short sale, messy, fucking god-awful, getting foreclosed on deal, subject to, as the owner and the seller, you can deed that property over to anybody in the world without their permission. And they start getting foreclosed on now, and they will flip the fuck out. I promise you. I don't even own this thing. Oh my God, I do. How the fuck? And then when they finally get the report, when they finally get the title, and they get to see who did it. And then you smile like this. And you can explain to them later, but it just really messes with them a lot. Okay.
There's no fraud in there?
I just gave you a house that you're not liable for. Eventually the bank's going to take it back anyway. Where's the fraud?
Just bring a different name, contract that's not yours.
There's no contract. I'm just deeding the property over to somebody that I don't like. There's no. I bought it. I have the deed. I recorded the deed, and then I don't know. Devon clogged the toilet one day and forgot to tell anybody, so now he's in foreclosure. Let that be a lesson to him. But it's in name and name only, and even though you'll get a ton of legal paperwork and documents from the bank and a million phone calls, and nothing's really going to happen to him, and eventually the bank's just going to take it back.
So you should go put your name on the deed or something like that?
I mean, whatever entity you own it in, whatever entity you own it in, you could just deed it to somebody else.
You need to register the thing after you sign it?
Yeah,
You need to record it.
yeah, you do.
So,
And now they are in public record as being in foreclosure.
anybody can go and record the deed after it's signed by somebody else that is not there?
Well, no, you could theoretically just get a new deed signed over to the person you don't like. Or if you've already got one to you, you record your deed. You could put it into a trust. This way you don't really have to pay any transfer tax, so it'll cost you like $100. And if it's already in a trust, they don't know who the family member is that owns the trust. You can just deed it over to the next person and still pay like $100. So, I mean, for $200, you get to almost give somebody a heart attack. So think about what they did to you before you do this. Is really, and does things like not paying debts really bother them?
Chuck, do you see refund this or not?
What?
The bank won't, you shorted?
They're out there. He doesn't see one. I mean, sometimes there's battles just not worth fighting. You know, we were looking at deals the other day, and one guy had one in, like, it was you.
Yeah,
You had the one in Trenton. What's going on with that guy?
that guy, he's not,
I mean, it's a burnt out
yeah.
piece of shit crack house in Trenton, which might be a better deal than this. You just, yeah, you just got to find the crack dealer and be like, yo, I'm never gonna bother you. Pay your rent on time.
Was the Jewish guy? Did he ever call back? He didn't? Like Lasam. Let me buy that. Free.
Say how much,
Well, I mean, it was a nicer way. How much do I want to give you? No, the word that I use is a Yiddish word for good deed. Just fucking good. I mean, it was a lot nicer than going, hey, the house is a piece of shit and so are you. There's my offer. Walk away. Which, that's gonna be the situation anyway.
you don't have nothing to do with that.
No.
This bad, what, bad?
Anybody got a deal they want to go over, or you want me to throw like one more complicated one up on here?
But can you go over like one I got in the pipeline?
Yeah.
Did you get paperwork signed?
No. So it's not, but like somebody I talked to that they're interested in getting prospect. Yeah, prospect.
It's not a lead.
Yeah.
Gonna put me in, dog? I'll go with you. No. You do me and Chuck and we can just play. And like,
I get it.
he's like, all right.
Take the mask off for a minute, show 'em. No, she's really pretty, I swear. Keep it on. I don't want to sell you a house. All right. So give me the numbers on your deal.
So this one's in owes 80,000 on it. Asking for 499.
All right. So he owes $80K. He's asking $99.
He's about to list it in the next month.
What's it worth?
When you ask a question, are we asking them that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he thinks it's worth 499. I asked him that.
Okay.
He is 10 months behind. He owns 25K.
He owes $25K on the back end.
Yeah, on the back.
So 80 plus 25?
Yeah.
Is it that guy that we were talking on the phone last time?
No, this is different.
Oh, it's not the same.
Yeah, and as on his timeline, he says he's flexible. The reason why his motivation is that he's basically living right now with his girlfriend, and he just got a divorce.
Is she hot? Okay, keep going.
He's an older guy. He's like in his
I might as well give you a password. So people on
he's in his mid 60s, and he's just trying to. He's like, I'm tired of paying. She's living in it now. I don't want to pay for it anymore.
So she lives there,
Yes,
and he doesn't live there.
he doesn't live. He lives with his girlfriend by the shore in Bayville.
So who lives here? His ex-wife?
His ex-wife, and then like I think one of the kids live there as well.
Ask him for a copy of the divorce decree. And I just want to make sure that he's entitled to do this, because a lot of times one of the ex-spouses may be on the mortgage, but the other one is the one that owns it, or there's a way that the equity is to be divided, and that'll tell us who's got to sign what. I thought this was the one where the kid just wanted to keep his son in school for like the next 2 years.
This is a completely different one.
Get a copy of the divorce decree,
Okay.
and we can start untangling this.
Okay.
But chances are we may have to get the ex to sign as well.
Okay.
Don't have a lot of information. It's down. I mean, assuming he's the only person that's going to sign, what does he really want? Because the whole world knows that he's in distress. He's probably also smart enough to know that there's a federal moratorium on foreclosures, so he's not going to lose it. And even though he's not paying for the mortgage, he's losing equity every month, every day, every minute. It's less money that he's going to walk away with. His credit's not going to get any worse, but it's pretty bad. So what do you want to walk away? And are you the only person that signs this? And the divorce decree will let us know that. Got any other information?
Is there any other important information I should get, like questions I should be asking, like besides these three, and like timeline?
Oh, asking Worth, how did this happen? Where do you want it to go? Just typical report shit. Let him talk. Why? Let's see if we can figure out the motivation, because there's got to be something else here.
Besides the divorce, you're saying?
Yeah, and if he's going to list it, great. Congratulations. When are you going to list it? Okay, great. 6 months from now, make a note in your planner. The listing expires. Follow up with him every month. And like the day after it expires, just be like, call him and go, congratulations. And you're like, what? And like, you sold the house. Congratulations. I told you I wanted to be the first one to congratulate you, and I got a note in my planner. The listing would have expired by now, so it should be sold. Congratulations. Oh, it didn't sell. And you should just have a ton of these,
Gotcha. Okay.
because they just come back. This is after a bad breakup. And after a while, you just become a machine. It's like, yep. Hey, how are you? Just cut right to the fucking chase. This guy needs to get hurt. So hurt him bad, help him exhaust his options, and if not, you're there. Right now, it doesn't look like there's much. If he gives you the divorce decree, even if he's not the only signer, we now know the other woman's name, and it demonstrates compliance, and the more they do for you, the more they'll do for you.
So basically, the divorce decree just shows who else is.
Yeah. Did she get her settlement? Did she do money from the sale? It'll help us establish a real, true bottom line number.
Okay.
And it'll also help us establish, is he the only one that's going to sell the property? Because in New Jersey, if you buy a house, Elvis, and you move into it with your wife, and you're married, and she's never on the deed, and you spend one fucking night there, and she can document it, she takes a picture of you guys in bed, or walking in. 26 years later, when the house is paid off, and you spent one night in this vacation home that you own and paid off, she gets half. It's a primary marital residence. So leave your wife's phone in the car. This way the GPS tracker pinpoints you only made it to the driveway. Sorry, honey, there's no phones in the house and no pictures. It's a good policy to have with all women. This way there's no tracking, because they like that shit. Right, Yanni? And it's just a fact-finding mission. Have fun with it. Anybody else got one? If not, I got one. What do you got? This is the one that... This is... $122.
In parentheses, put 26.5.
What's that?
That's the payoff.
Gotcha.
Asking 122. 385. Sold at 285.
Tell me more.
House we locked up, and homeowner basically wanted the loan paid off at 26.5, and wanted payments of $1,000 a month for 8 years.
So, number one, do we have a deed?
Yes, we have a deed. We have all our documents signed.
We got a contract too. What's recorded?
The contract and notice of settlement.
Okay, that makes me happy.
Yeah.
That's protection. And this is the one where he wants to talk to a lawyer.
He already has a lawyer.
Great.
He doesn't want to come in and talk to us without his lawyer.
Great. Set the date. Because when you can actually explain this stuff to lawyers, which can be a little intimidating the first couple times you do it. I remember the first time you did it. This is when we also found out Linton fits in my clothes. I put him in a suit and sent... just fed him to the wolves. Here, you're gonna go so proud, like pinch his cheeks. Just go. Or like turn around, God, he's gonna get his ass kicked. When you start explaining this to them, and you show them that you're not doing anything wrong, and you actually have the seller's best interest in mind, sometimes you'll learn something from them, but more often than not, they're gonna go, holy shit, this kid knows what he's doing. Now 42-year-old man. It sounds like it's a pain in the ass right now, but if it's a lawyer we haven't worked with in the past, sometimes they'll refer deals back to you after the fact. So if this guy wants payments, okay, great.
No, he no longer wants payments because the lawyer convinced him to take it all in one lump sum.
Well, yeah, because the lawyer wants to get paid.
Yeah.
So, okay, when it closes, you can take it all in one lump sum, too.
Go ahead.
The concern is basically the lawyer is going to see, or the original seller is going to see that we had purchased at 122 and we're selling at 285. We were considering, would it be better to double close, or when do you decide when to double close on something to not reveal kind of what you're selling for?
So if you're going to do a double close, you're going to have to get it approved by the buyer's lender, which I don't know if it's going to be a problem or not. We got the money to do it. We could raise the money to pay it off, right? Matter of fact, we got a couple things closing where we could just pay it off. I think the play here is really to get on the phone with the lawyer, talk to them, make them understand. We can even secure a second mortgage where, just like I did on the one, like one of the first ones we did, where he gets his money when the thing closes, and yeah, we're getting paid too. The reason why we got it so cheap, that's what they asked for. You didn't beat them up on the price, right? You
I
asked
actually
him.
gave him more money.
Yeah, he told, you're a nice guy.
Yeah, I am a nice guy. But I guess he got talked into by the lawyer to kind of.
The lawyers can be predatory. A lot of times they will do things, be like, this is illegal, this is whatever, and then all of a sudden you're in the courthouse and you go, I wonder what happened to that deal, and you go, holy fuck, the lawyer bought it. It happens a lot, which is why we record things and fuck up the title as badly as we possibly can, because if we don't win, we have to see to it that everybody else loses, and sometimes it's just fun to be lawyers. I mean, you really just gotta, like, put them in their place. Lawyer, it's like plumber. You work for me. You went to a trade school. The only difference is a good plumber is hard to find. You piece of shit. We're going to talk to the lawyer nicely, and we're going to get him to see what's going on here. He's out of the house already. I think you gave him some money too, right?
I gave him $3,000. I've been paying
And you're making the payments. That all this stuff is to be taken into consideration. You told him you were going to make the payments, and you made the payments. You're a fucking good guy. So if they don't like it this way, we can just record the deed. We're just trying to make it close quicker because the buyer wants to get in quick. That was not our original intent. Did we fix the place up at all?
Nope.
Is there anything we may have to do to get the loan for the buyer? Is the buyer's loan in process? The buyer's loan is not in process.
Because we have to.
Started attorney review yet with the buyer.
Okay.
Everything is held up because of
This,
So how quick can you get me in front of this lawyer? And where is this lawyer?
you can get on the phone tomorrow. They're in title law.
Put it in the book, get me on the phone with him, or let's just go. Just find a block of time. We got Thursday and Friday left, and let's just go.
Oh, before you go, next week, I'm gonna tell everybody, next Wednesday, we're gonna start doing, like an open house night, basically, free. Everybody can come, under 25 people. I'm gonna set up like bars and be online, that way it limits. Because as you can see, I think we're like 13 people in here, and I'm gonna have to figure out how to fit 20. I'm gonna get rid of these things over here and try to fit 20 people in here. But as soon as I put it up, make sure you guys RSVP ASAP, because I feel if you guys are already here, that's 13 people, it's gonna fill in quick, especially if it's free.
Did you at any time this guy
Probably
that you're gonna make money?
Friday.
Did I hide it?
Yeah. No, we just
No.
I'll tell you.
Yeah. Did you video any of this stuff? Or?
Yeah, we videoed all of it.
Oh, you're my freaking hero.
They didn't work.
I think you're gonna be okay. You need to tell him usually in front. Not gonna hide the fact that I do this to make money. Could be 10 grand, could be 100 grand. I don't know. Right now, I'm gambling on you and the fact that you're being honest with me. And
There's no way for them to pull back on their original offer.
we have the fucking deed. You pull back on the offer, I'll record the deed, and I'll stop making the payments on your guy's mortgage because fuck you, that's why. I can make this a lot worse than you think. But we're not even gonna go there. We're gonna kill him with kindness. You just quit your job, you had a big deal on the horizon, and now there's this huge state of panic in your mind?
No,
No? It's not too big?
I just don't like not knowing, what the outcomes are, because it's the first time I'm dealing with it, but.
Yeah, I don't like not knowing either,
Yeah.
and I hate to break it to you, I don't know. I got a bunch of really good ideas, and I know how it should go, and in a perfect world, we'll develop a great working relationship with a new lawyer like I did yesterday with Raphael, and now I got a great lawyer that understands this shit and speaks Spanish. Fucking score. That may be better than the 85 grand I'm making. Because look at the dude next to you over there. Go ahead, stare at him. I didn't make that much off of his house. I don't know, it was 14 grand or something stupid, and bought his mom some appliances, and the next house after that, I got like a 2-carat rock, and I got engaged. Worst fucking deal of my life. But I can't even put a price tag on the relationship. It could very well, at this point in time, be an 8-figure relationship over the years. But it's worth a lot more than that to me. So, hey, we got the opportunity to meet some new people. We're going to have fun. They know that we're capable. From what I've taken away from you, you're a pretty good guy. I don't think you're trying to hurt this guy. You've been making his mortgage payments.
Yep.
So let's just get on the phone with them and smooth it over and move forward, or fucking hit the nuke button and destroy everybody. It's empty. You're making the payments. What are the payments?
About 1,400 a month.
What could you rent it for?
If you were to, if you're gonna rent that out, you're gonna have to work in the house. Some work. Yeah.
If you did some work on the house, what could you rent it for?
I didn't really look, but probably around $2,000. Maybe. It's, it wasn't part of the exit strategy. It was as a whole.
I mean, it's not a lot of money to come up with, and it might be easier just to pay off the $26,000 if it gets that bad and it's like all caught up in some kind of legal entanglement, and we could just fucking rent it and in the first couple of years. And the lawyer's gonna want to sue if it goes bad, because that's how they make money, right? Like, I got this fucking like weird tumory thing in my wrist, right? And if they cut it out, there's like a really good chance that I'm wind up with like one of these like useless hook hands. Hurts like hell. I went to a bunch of doctors and they all want to operate. And then I talked to one that was like a friend of a friend, and he was like, "Knifers make money by knifing. I wouldn't take that risk. Just deal with the fucking pain." I was like, "Wow, that's a good way to look at it." Lawyers make money by suing, and the lawyer's going to go, "Well, I can close the deal and I'll make $2,500, or I can sue them, and there's a lot of equity in this, so I can get 50, 100 grand."
She doesn't want to sue. She wants to get
The money.
their new documents
Okay.
and get the new documents re-signed so we can close with her documents because she doesn't agree with our documents.
Okay, so she just wants to justify her fee.
Yeah. And then
I went to law school for a reason, goddammit. You can't use this boilerplate contract.
and then she wants to talk to our lawyer, which right now we're NFL.
So let's bring Muhammad in. You think he's a good guy?
Yeah.
Or you think Maria's a little overwhelmed?
Yeah.
So if Maria,
Maria's-
Muhammad's around the corner,
Uh-huh.
this sounds kind of like a layup, right? Maybe we're going to record a mortgage, which you already got signed.
It's already in the mail. It's just not recorded yet.
Okay. But what I'm thinking is, if we recorded a mortgage where after his 26.5 is paid off, he gets up everything up to 122, and we get the rest. He's covered, we're covered. Let the lawyers lawyer it up, let the mortgage people mortgage it up, and just kick back and wait to get paid. But, I mean, from what you've told me, this lawyer is just going, "God damn it, I'm a lawyer. I can write better paperwork than this. I have law school loans to pay off, but let me at least feel like I've brought some value." It's kind of what they do.
Yeah, but we can also double close it from him to us and us to the new buyer.
As long as the new buyer's lender's okay with that.
Okay.
So the other thing we'd have to do, if you want to write it down, is get on the phone with the new buyer's lender. And the new buyer seemed like a cool dude.
He's waiting.
Yeah.
He's really wants the house.
Yeah, so
And I'm make sure that he knows that this is his house. He just gotta wait.
Yeah, so let's just step on the gas and just get me on the phone with the lawyer. Let me know when it can happen. And I just kind of want you to listen in on it so you can explain it too. And
I want to be here when you guys make.
yeah, and it's the highest paid profession in the world is communication. Well, communication and sales. Is that a heart rate monitor? It's what? It's a watch? Okay. Cool. I don't think this ends badly.
It's just held up. His lawyer's gonna call.
Yeah, I mean, they gotta get paid too. Times are tough.
If he didn't give up, we would have been already.
We would have been closed.
Yeah.
We would have closed already.
So, I mean, and again, in the beginning, when you're talking to sellers, right, when you're in Devon's position, all this is about is just collecting and retaining information and following up until you get some shit signed. You were with the boss, you got a bunch of stuff signed. I know that you own this thing 6 ways till sundown, and you're in just a position where it's like, you own the fucking monopoly board and you're the bank, right? And you're gonna try to negotiate? Don't fuck with me. We don't want to play that card, but if we have to, we can. just have a nice conversation. Let's make it as nice as we can. And, oh, hey, we heard such good things about you. And by the way, not now, but in a little bit, when we explain this to you and we see your new documents and everything goes smoothly, we just want you to know that we can help a bunch of your people out as well. We look forward to future business with you. Does this guy speak any other language other than English? Nothing, because that's worth a lot too. Muhammad speaks another language. Maria speaks Spanish. There's value in that. There's a lot of these communities that are completely underserved, and it's even harder to find a lawyer that can wrap their head around this shit. I'm kind of excited. Yeah. Anybody got anything else? You got one? Question?
I have something. I was like thinking, today, between yesterday and today, what about seller financing? If the help cost IRD 410 and the seller one 275 on seller financing at 4%.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to do refinance?
So is this a real situation?
It is zero.
But is this a real situation, or were you just thinking?
I am thinking, but
Stop thinking.
it couldn't be a real situation. It is a real situation, but we just changed it. But we had that in mind, but we just like removed it out of the.
So you got no paper. You got no paperwork signed on it.
No, nothing yet.
So let's have the problem before we solve it.
We have options. So that one was one option, but we wasn't.
Let's take a step back. You have a lead. Get a contract, okay? You can't have sex over the telephone. You have to show up in person to get laid. So get in front of them. Oh. I think that's like what kids do nowadays. And the 3 shells. I have to watch that again. Text Diana Demolition Man. I can't figure out the 3 shells.
No, I just want to know if it is possible to do finance on a seller finance.
Yeah, I mean, seller financing is just a private mortgage. And if you wanted to refinance to get their money, you just need somebody who can get a mortgage and you refinance after you have the deed.
It would be on a second refinance.
No, the refinance will pay off the first, and you'll have a new mortgage at different terms that reports to somebody's credit.
And that would be on the first lien.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
That's all I needed.
it's very possible.
So it is possible.
I got, you wanna, we got another situation. This one is in Mattawan, Jersey.
You know where Jaws came from? Honest to friggin' God, dude. Like a shark swam up the river, ate a whole bunch of people in Mattawan. They wrote a book around it. Yeah. I've seen the book.
I did not know that, wow.
Creek, the great white shark, like ate a bunch of people in it.
Wait, did they shoot, you said they shot like a video of Jaws, like,
I mean, like the actual like incidents, like people got eaten there. It's like 1920 or some shit. All right, so
yeah, I'm pretty sure, I could have screwed this up, I'm pretty sure she said we're in 85. Sometimes when I ask what they say it's the opposite way around, but they have to pay less.
so 185.
185, asking for 320,
And then she thinks it's worth 320. She did not seem that motivated.
How far behind is she?
So what's crazy about it, she was on this list.
Yeah.
But then when I was talking to, she's an old lady, she said that she didn't know why it was saying pre-foreclosure on Zillow because she's not behind. But she was coming up with this.
So it's not a pre-foreclosure on Zillow,
Yeah.
but she comes up on the lis pendens list. So lis pendens, I think, is Latin for lawsuit pending. And sometimes lawyers will get cute, and your dog will bite your neighbor, and the lawyer will like serve you, and they can actually file. I know, oddly enough, they can file a lis penens on somebody's house for like a dog bite, and they're rare, but there's like weird cases when shit like that'll happen. Hey, Evelyn, you want to invite a couple people?
Huh?
You want to invite a couple people on the 31st? We can make them wear dresses.
You guys go wear this.
If you guys want to get drunk with a bunch of hot chicks that like real estate, Friday night.
This Friday?
Yeah.
This Friday.
How many coming?
Here. Hey, Evelyn, here.
I know 20 people.
Tell the at-home audience.
Do you want me to put the address out loud? Like, we're gonna be here Friday, 6:30 p.m.
You're cleaning up the mess, not me.
Friday, 6:30 p.m.
But
Tell the world.
should I say the address? Like, no,
Well,
like,
they can't show up if you don't.
yeah, but you don't want, it's the limit of 20 people. Like, you don't want people.
There's no camera and everybody's no.
All right, okay, so it's this Friday, 6:30 p.m. We'll be here, 10 Banta Place, right? Place, Hackensack, New Jersey.
Beer or
Just a bottle of wine would be nice. Yeah.
Thank you.
The guys will
it's supposed to be a bunch of girls, but
Some sort of wine. I like
I haven't gone yet. But all right. So 0185 asking 320, worth 320. Good night.
No, that was there.
That's mine. So can't figure out why she's on the lis penens list.
Yeah.
I mean, you could pull the lis penens from the courthouse and it would tell you why. Or if we found it on the website, it may not have the name of a bank. It probably has like an individual name, and that's the plaintiff, and she could be getting sued and have not even gotten served yet, but she's gonna. Something went wrong. Sometimes these things get misfiled too. Weird shit happens.
Sorry, I just have a question. Like, in a very high-level overview, when you're looking at numbers like that, right? So they're laying out what they think, what they owe, what it's worth, right? What's your position? Like, how are you looking to capitalize off that? I know the goal is to make...
Sign the fucking paperwork.
Right, okay. But I'm saying, from your perspective now...
That's my perspective. It's not even worth my brain power.
Unless...
Hey, that's great. You want 320? It's worth 320. You got it. And like, I'm going to assume that you haven't done a deal yet or gone out and had anybody to sign something, so you got to break your cherry. And when you go through the paperwork, it's got liquidated damages language, so you're only going to lose what you lay out. So if you give them $1 or nothing or $10 or $100, if it doesn't work out, you're not getting back. But you're going to shit your pants when you're in somebody's house the first time and you bust out a fucking contract that's 2,000 words and have them sign. Until it gets boring. Which you may not think it ever does, but I've had people like have it be the best day of their life, and I'm sitting there like, hey, God, another fucking 100,000. Jesus Christ! Can you just hold on to this till after the new year? I don't want to pay taxes on this fucking shit. So just, you're in a stage where the numbers don't even matter. Just give people what they're asking for, and you will get it. Okay. I'm going to do I flat out tell them, I'm going to do my research after the fact. You told me you want 320? I'm going to give you the 320. Now we have an agreement, okay? Once we have this agreement, then I'm going to order title. I'm going to get this authorization to release. I'm going to contact your bank. I'm going to make sure that what you owe and what you told me you owe are the same number. And basically, I just want to confirm that you've been honest with me. And I mean, small agreements lead to bigger ones, so if you give me this information and I come back and I say everything you told me is true, great, and if it's not, we're going to have a conversation and figure that out. But right now, you just need to get laid. So just get amongst it. Just tie up as much stuff as you can.
So
And-
you said for these two that I showed, like, brought up today, just
That's great. When can we meet?
Just get a sign because there could be 1,000 ways you can close this and make money, but if you don't tie it up first, someone else is gonna get theirs tied up and make the money that way.
Thinking this is going to be insane. But this is not really a thinking man's business. This is just know the rules and be fucking trigger happy. And if you got 30 deals and 10, 15 of them work out, you probably had a $500,000 year easily. And the other ones didn't work out because, wow, you were right. It was really worth what you were asking, and I don't want to hide the fact that I do this to make money. So I could sell this thing at $320, but I'd like to make $50,000. So let's put a second mortgage on it for $50, and then I can just list it and walk away. We cool? Got one that went and just, I think, signed some paperwork for me and sent over $1,000, and I can barely remember the numbers, but I think the first,
That we owe 220.
yeah,
Sold it at 350.
guy owed 220, right? Like a day or two before the foreclosure, we filed a mortgage against the house for another 200, making it a short sale. He also now fucking owes me, and I'm pissed. Brought him to a bankruptcy lawyer, filed bankruptcy because you can do that now because the house is over leveraged, right? There's no equity. The house doesn't have to be sold off to pay off his other debts. Pretty cool. And I'm the bank. Pretty cool too. That bought us 3 months, 6 months, whatever. I probably had to lay out $2, $3, $5 to do it. But that gave us enough time to sell it, find this guy a place to live, and we sold it at what?
350.
And what we buy it at?
220.
220 to 350. So that's like 6 figures ish, right? I mean, I had to go to this house 3 fucking times. I don't like going to houses or closings. What? No, I had to reiterate, dude. When you bought the house, did you wake up the next morning and go to the fucking bathroom and the door was locked and the old owner was in the fucking shower and he's like, don't worry, I'll leave you hot water? No, get the fuck out. We gotta get you an apartment. I can pay you to leave. I can do whatever it needs, but you need to leave or this thing's gonna get foreclosed on. You're gonna be homeless. I'm gonna get popcorn and I'm gonna sit on the fucking curb. And I'm going to take these big speakers that Elvis has, and I'm going to put them on the back of one of the fucking pickup trucks, and I'm going to sit there blasting, na 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 na, na 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 na, hey, 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 goodbye, on a fucking Facebook Live. You know why? Because fuck you, that's why. Okay? Or you can move into this lovely new apartment, and I can pay your security deposit and your first month's rent. So, do you want to leave with dignity, or do you just want the sheriff to throw you out? Because that's not fun. They go, 20 minutes, everything you can carry. Why not? Just turn your fucking brain off. Don't overthink it. If you're watching a million fucking YouTube videos with deal analysis and all this other shit, but you can't get the paperwork signed, you might as well be a virgin watching porn. You're getting all juiced up and not doing shit about it.
So in other words, you just have to be like the best at getting the papers signed.
So I got this like trademarked quote, right? Like action is your most valuable asset. Say it for me.
Action is my most valuable asset.
It's still he even fucked that up. Just say it for me. Action is your most valuable asset.
Action is the most valuable asset.
Now I'm gonna file a suit against you tomorrow because I own that and nobody else can say that shit. I'm just fucking with you. That's it. Just go make a mess, right? I mean, do you sit there going, should I swipe right or left? Right? Because my numbers are a lot better when it's just, okay, how quick can I do 100 swipes? And then you just work with whatever responds. works even better when you're just like, all right, you're my assistant. Today, Monday's redhead day. Tuesday's Asian chicks. Wednesday, I like black chicks. Thursday, we're going to go Hispanic. Friday, how about Indian girls? Saturday, white girls. And just 100 fucking messages go. You don't even get to look at the pictures. The rest of your day is free. Just cut, paste, repeat. Do you like margaritas? And you work with the responses. It's marketing. And then you just set up as many dates as you can in 3-hour intervals because you need to rest after it. And if you're not getting laid every 90 minutes on Friday, Saturday, Sunday with all those dates between your 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and midnight seating, you failed. Until it's just repetition and you're like a machine. And that's all this is. You really got to put that dating course together.
Chuck started getting called Chuck Daddy. It's not just because he has a hot young girl. It's because he also is the father of all these people and he helps you find a way to make money after you. So basically just go up, close up a bunch of deals, bring it to Chuck to help you find a way to make money. And then you'll eventually learn from that, get your feet wet, and you'll be able to do it yourself. How do you think Lennon is a beast now?
He was kind of a beast when I found him.
Yeah, he was. He was just,
But he made bigger mistakes probably than anybody in the room with the exception of me. Okay? Just go make a bunch of fucking mistakes. And learn. And you stop making them after a while.
So am I wasting time, like for instance, those two that I had last week, so we'll try calling the next day, didn't answer. Am I wasting time, like, okay, I'm gonna call follow up?
No, just keep, just follow up until you get tired with it, and then keep following up. Like if you can have like a text message program that just keeps following up with people, that's great. I mean, we used to use this program called like Send Out Cards. It's like one of these MLM things that sent out like greeting cards. It actually has like some national record for like the most sales ever in like a day or some shit. And they had like greeting cards for every month. And Linton would make fucked up greeting cards and send them to like hundreds of people where it was like, hey, happy St. Patrick's Day. Looks like you're not going to be so lucky. Still in foreclosure? Call now.
But I think you said, like, if they said what it's worth, just give it to them what they're worth. So
Okay, that's great. When can we meet? You can't sign paperwork over the phone.
what if I'll send it through email?
Fuck that fucking shit. Whoever said that, taught you that, DocuSign, break their jaw and then tell them that was from me. Okay, because you can't record a DocuSigned contract, so you have nothing. You have no recourse, you can't protect yourself, and if somebody tries to go around me, I may start fucking with people who use DocuSign just so I can go, fuck you, I owned you. Kill yourself. Buy a gun and one bullet.
So give them the offer, then set up. Okay.
No, there's no offer. The only offer you make is an offer to help. Okay. If what you told me is true, I believe I can help you out. When can we meet? Great, I'll be there. Confirm the appointment, show up, bring the paperwork on the table in front of you so you know you're a fucking loser if you don't push for the close. It's like when you go on a date. You should have a condom in your front pocket. I'm here to use this. That's why I'm here. There's no other reason. Now I'm going to take you through all the neurolinguistic programming hoops, and if I'm not nailing you in 90 minutes or less, I failed as a human being and don't deserve to call myself a man. It's exactly the same fucking thing. Call, follow up, appointment, paperwork. No paperwork? Follow up, follow up, follow up. Did the situation get better? Oh no, it got worse, just like dating. Oh, you got older, you're less desirable. Sorry, my weekend's booked. Girls over 25 I meet with on Tuesdays.
AJ has a pretty sick follow-up, so if you got his number last time or you're friends with him on Facebook, do message him. He's pretty friendly. He'll help you out with that. Follow-up.
Is a smart kid.
What is he, like a month in and he's already got like his third deal?
Yeah, he's been dabbling for like a year, but then he got fired, and like amazing things happen when people lose their jobs. It's like you either find yourself or you wash out. There's always pain, there's always suffering. I can remember after I closed my first deal, right? I was just like, holy shit, I don't know if I want to do that again. That was really hard. Log into your bank account. Holy fuck, I made 20 grand in 20 days. Fuck this, I'm never doing anything. And I'm not sure if it got easier or if I just went like numb. It's probably a little bit of both. But like, this kind of prepares you for dealing with like life and like every crisis that comes your way until you get really, really good at it, and then like your family starts telling you all this fucked up shit, and like weird things start happening, and people start turning to you with all kinds of problems that aren't even real estate until you're like, I don't know what the fuck you think I am, but there's a body in your trunk. This ain't me. I'm out. Good luck with that. I heard Home Depot sells lime and shovels. Don't pay with a credit card. Wear your COVID-19 mask. And leave your cell phone home, please. That did not happen.
Gotcha, okay. What do you say to people? It kind of threw me off guard when she said it. I was asking for this guy, and she said that he passed away.
Okay. So I'm so sorry to hear that.
Said that, and then what do you say after that?
So
Did you ask if they're on the, did it reach probate?
I'm looking at the list list, and I'm calling because this guy's in foreclosure, and honestly, if there's anything I can do to help you out, I specialize in turning difficult situations into happy endings. You have my deepest sympathy, and when you are ready to sell and move on, I just want you to know that I'm here to help. I can be available on your schedule. I understand you may need time to grieve. I've been through this myself. It is not easy. This is not the first time I've seen this situation, and I just want you to know that during these trying times, I'm on your side, and you and your family's best interest is my primary concern. By the way, my name's Devon. I'll text you. I know you probably need some time. I'll follow up in a few weeks. Please be well. And I'm sending one up for you. This is just your pickup game with real estate. That's all it is. You just become like a wordsmith with the shit. And it's good. Every time you get a situation that you don't know the answer to, write it down. It's the right thing to do. And you will shit the bed in front of people trying to get contracts signed. They'll ask you questions you can't answer. I got shot down in person 44 fucking times before I got paperwork signed. I don't know anybody that got shot down that much. I was kind of like, this really fucking sucks. Make sure this doesn't happen to anybody. And then the fucking boy genius over here comes in and like halfway through the first class leaves and goes and buys a house and comes back. And he's a lot of times better at me. Probably because he's been in the situation. He's more relatable and, let's be honest, better looking too. A little bit. We cool? All right. Guys, that was a lot of fun. Thank you all for coming out. Yeah, no problem. You guys should all, too, like in a group, if you're there on Facebook, like be friends with each other, talk, you got shit, post it there, interact. And, I mean, you got a question, throw it up there, too. It's a lot easier for me to do than go through like Facebook messages that I probably do like once a week. So this is a lot of fun. We're here for you. We'll do it again next Wednesday night. And yeah, thank you. Always be closing. Good night.